Hello and a very good morning. Welcome to Shop on TV. I'm Hayley Green.
And I'm Sean Crawley.
And together we've got a fantastic show tonight. It's all about something that perhaps you've been putting off for a long time, but you know you really need to do. And that is writing a will.
I think we all think about it, but we just don't get round to it.
And I don't think you realise, actually, that if you haven't legally written your own will, that actually a will does fall in place, and that's the government will. And that doesn't work for anybody, but legally that will automatically come into place if you haven't written your own.
We're not just going to be talking about wills, though, tonight. We're going to be talking about lasting powers of attorney. And you may have heard of that term, but not know exactly what it means. Well, we'll explain that throughout the show. We're working directly with Simpler Law.
Incredible prices, time-limited deals as well, and lots of little extras, an extra 10% off, and a £10 voucher you might be able to get too. So do stay with us. We'll tell you loads more in just a moment. But it's so important to get that will written.
Merry Christmas!
Hello and a very good morning. Welcome to Shop on TV, to STV and Freeview already with us. I'm Hayley Green.
And I'm Sean Crawley.
Together we've got a show that I think it's one of those opportunities where you've switched on the TV and it may be something you've been putting off for ages, or we just don't get round to, and it's something that is so important, and that is writing a legally written will. And I think lots of people don't realise that if you haven't written your own will, there is actually a will that falls into place, and that's the government will. And that's not right for anybody. Wouldn't be right for us.
Nope.
And we've been together now 34 years, but we're not married. And even though all of our family know what's mine is Sean's, what Sean's is mine, if one of us passed and we hadn't have written a will, the government will would have fallen in place and neither of us would be entitled to each other's money.
There's lots of misconceptions that people think about.
Family-wise as well, marriage-wise, and there's a lot of blended families, isn't there? Children from different relationships. It gets really complicated and it's so, so important. And Simpler Law are with us tonight, not just about wills, but do stay to just understand how important it is, but also a lasting power of attorney. Yeah,
lasting power of attorney is a term that you might have heard of, but you don't know exactly what it means. Well, we're going to explain that as we go through the show. We've got two experts from Simpler Law joining us on the show a little bit later on. But we want to run you through the offers straight away because the prices that we've got are exclusive. We've got extra discounts and we've got extra Christmas bonuses tonight.
It's so affordable, and I know we put off writing a will. It's time, you put it off, you forget to do it, all of a sudden a year's gone by, and at one point it will be just too late. But we did think as well it would be really expensive, and honestly, it's not even at full price with Simpler Law, who make it so easy. £249 is an incredible price. Now, we normally have a Shop on TV deal at $99, but you have got an extra 10% as long as you secure this price before the close of business on Friday. So do it tonight. All you do is just say, I want to get my will sorted, leave your details, and they'll get back in touch with you to sort out a day that's right for you. So you've got a deal tonight at £89, and you can split that cost as well over 4 payments. So £22 and 25 pence is the first of those payments. So affordable and just so important to get that will written. But then lasting power of attorney, which we will explain a little bit more a little bit later on. Again, this is why we know Simpler Law, because I did Mum's lasting power of attorney with them.
The lasting power of attorney price should be £349. We've reduced it on our offer price to less than £200. However, you've got an extra 10% off, so that brings the price down to £179 for your lasting power of attorney. Then you've got 4 interest-free payments to take advantage of if you so wish. £44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments.
It's nothing, is it, when you split that cost? It's nothing anyhow, but £22.25 for your will. How much do you spend on coffee a week? £44.75, that's the first of your 4 payments for your lasting power of attorney. We can't get a takeaway for that, just for us too. And the great thing is, Simpler Law are fabulous, and as long as you get in touch tonight and secure the deals, if you watch the show and think, well, I only asked about the will, you can actually do a great deal with the will and lasting power of attorney, and they will allow you to secure that price as well, as long as you get in touch with us this evening. And that normally is £598. Our special price, £269, but of course you have got that extra 10% off, bring it down to £242, and of course you can split that cost over 4 payments, so £60.50 is the first of those 4 payments.
Now, there are a couple of bonuses for you, Christmas bonus, if you like. Every new client who completes their consultation before Christmas Eve will also receive a £10 Love to Shop shopping voucher.
And that's a great voucher, because you can spend that in so many different places. Yeah. So in my mind, that's another £10 off the price that I'm spending. Thank you very much. And also, there's a great opportunity to get the book too.
Yes.
And the book, there are 250 of these. Now, these always disappear, so this is why we do say, though you've got till close of business on Friday, do secure your prices tonight, whilst you remember as well, and you will be one of the people, the first 250, to get this brilliant book.
It's called What My Family Should Know, and basically you record everything in the one place. So not just about your bank accounts and your pensions and your life policies, it's also about things around the home, your utility bills, but then all your passwords for your digital accounts.
And that's so important. I think it used to be that you're hunting for letters, aren't you? The secret place where your mum and dad's put their letters. But actually now it's email. So if you haven't got the password, you can't get onto those emails. But actually, there's a lot of really sentimental photographs as well that might be on your mum and dad's, or your auntie or your uncles or your grandparents' actual technology that you wouldn't be able to get unless you've got that password.
First 250 people to make those appointments.
And they always
will
disappear.
Get one of those, yeah.
And remember, it's so easy to get in contact. Of course, it is Simpler Law tonight, so you are getting in contact directly with Simpler Law. And there's lots of different ways to do this. You can either go via their website, which is fantastic and really, really easy, simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV.
That'll take you straight through to those exclusive offers that we've been talking about. You can call the call centre. The team are there right through to 3 a.m. 0333 600 2600, and they're there just for you to secure those appointments. You don't need any information.
They're a great team. Just say you want to secure the deals, and even if you're just thinking will at the minute and then you change your mind and you want will and lasting power of attorney while you watch the show, that will be absolutely fine. But the easiest way, and always the busiest, because you don't have to speak to anybody and you've done it in an instant. We just like to be quick, don't we? Just text Will. I bet your phone's right by you to 66777. That's the job done. I think our biggest problem is we put things off. We're rubbish. We still need to get our whole carpet done. It must be how many years? And it's not that we can't afford it. It's not that we don't want to. I'm desperate to have it done. But it's that first phone call. And don't forget, you can go via our website as well, which we will show you in a little while too. It's really simple to get in contact. And that's the trickiest thing. The only reason we haven't got a good whole carpet is we haven't made that first call.
And that's what it is, that first step. And you may have thought about writing a will. You'll have heard of lasting power of attorney because it's been in a lot of the press recently. So if you've been thinking about it, maybe now is the time to take that first step with Simpler Law directly. Honestly, we've looked at the reviews for Simpler Law, and you can look at them, and we'll share some of them with you throughout the show.
I think the biggest thing is you just don't realise that if you haven't written a will, there is a will written for you. And you don't want somebody, you don't want the government telling you what to do with your money, with your home, with your belongings. You know where you want things to go, so write it down legally. But do stay with us, because loads of stories that will make you understand exactly why it's so, so important.
Merry Christmas!
Hello and a very good morning. Welcome to Shop on TV. Welcome to ITV1. We've already got STV and Freeview with us. I'm Hayley Green.
And I'm Sean Crawley.
Together we've got a really important show, I think. And I think if you switched on right now, you were meant to. Because have you written your will? And do you understand how important it is to have a legally written will? We didn't. We've been together 34 years. So we know, our families know, that what's mine is Sean's, what Sean is mine. But sadly, if one of us passed, they couldn't do anything because the will that is there in place, if you haven't written your own, is a government will. And the government then tells everybody what's going to happen. And it's not what you want to happen.
It doesn't take into account that we've been together 34 years because we're not married. So as simple as that, without our own will,
and
with
actually,
everything written down.
It's very true. We're not married, so that's completely... The government will isn't right for us. But actually, even if you are married, it's still really complicated. If you're married and you're on a second marriage, if you've got children from different relationships, if you've got a blended family, honestly, it gets really complicated. And to have a legally written will... You know what you want to happen to what you've worked so hard for. And I truly think at this time of year, it is that perfect Christmas gift for your family. Perhaps you don't buy ready for the family anymore. This could be the perfect gift. You've got that will written, and it's your final gift to your loved ones.
It certainly is. We're not just going to be talking about wills, though. We're also going to be talking about lasting powers of attorney. And if you've heard of lasting power of attorney, but you're not quite sure what it means, we'll explain that as we go through the show for you. The offers that we've got directly with Simpler Law are fantastic.
I think we put a lot of things off because we think it's going to be very expensive, it's going to be really complicated. Simpler Law, honestly, hand on heart, we dealt with Simpler Law before they actually worked with us here on Shop on TV. They make it so easy, but my goodness, tonight, so affordable. And you've got lots of extras this evening as well, or this morning, whichever way you want to look at it. So price-wise, take a look. If you are thinking, my goodness, yeah, we do need to write a will. No, we're not married. Well, we're married, but we've got kids from different relationships. Honestly, whatever, perhaps you've got adopted children, there's so many things that make things so complicated. So you've got an opportunity tonight to get your will written, and all you're doing tonight is securing this price, but take a look at the price. At £249, I think it's so affordable, but actually our normal offer would be £99, but you have got an extra 10% off, taking it down to £89 tonight, which is... It's nothing when you think that what you've worked so hard for, what is yours, you are going to be in control of who gets it when you pass. Now, you split that cost over 4 payments, so then really it is so easy and affordable, £22.25, and I bet you spend more than that on a cup of coffee. Actually, I don't know if I should mention this, but a lot of people were talking about the price of cigarettes.
Yes.
Oh, my word, I could not believe. So it makes it so affordable to make sure that what you've worked so hard for, what you want to happen is going to happen. The first payment today, that's all you need to do, and secure that price, £22.25.
Now, we did say lasting powers of attorney. We'll be talking about the suggested price of that, normally £349. Our offer price would usually be £199, but with the extra 10% off, it comes down to £179. And when we break that up into 4 interest-free payments for you, it's just £44.75 on your first of 4 payments.
And we struggle to get a takeaway Chinese for that price, just for us. It's so affordable. Now, you might think, well, yeah, I definitely need a will. Perhaps you're not really... we didn't really understand lasting power of attorney until, unfortunately, we had to discover what it meant. I think often you don't know what it is until something's happened. When you watch the show and you think, oh, gosh, I only asked about a will when I got in contact, they will secure all these prices as long as you get in touch before the close of business on Friday. So if you then decide, well, actually, I'd like to do will and lasting power of attorney, honestly, go for this, because this saving is huge. Should be £598, so virtually £600. You've got a show special with us, normally of £269, but you have got the extra 10% off, and that brings it down then to £242, and then you can split that cost to 4 payments of £60.50, making it so affordable. Now, you've got a couple of extras here as well, a real special extra to start off with.
A Christmas special. Every new client who completes their consultation before Christmas Eve will receive a £10 Love to Shop shopping voucher. And the other bonus is every person who makes their appointment, the first 250 will receive this fabulous book that we're going to show you in a moment. So there's all the offers for you. £10 shopping voucher as long as you complete your consultation by Christmas. And there's your prices for your will, your power of attorney and the combination. And then you're also, if you're in the first 250 people, going to receive this free book. It's brilliant, this book.
Book normally is £25, and lots of people that miss out on this because they always disappear. So wish they want to buy it. You will, if you're the first of the 250, you will get this automatically. And this book is fabulous for all the important things that your family need to know, all the basic things that you think about.
So pensions, bank accounts, things such as that. But on top of that, things like your digital accounts, your passwords for your phones, your tablets,
Which it could be vital emails you need to get off the phone. It could be actually photographs that mean so much, and you know they're on mum and dad's or grandma and granddad's phone. All the information that you need is in this book. I always say, well, I used to say you should have it from birth, but that was a little bit early. But from working, because I bet you wouldn't know all the pensions, but perhaps your dad should have, or your grand. You don't know all the jobs they had, and it's all in that one book. And the first 250 people will get that. And all you need to do is secure the prices tonight, and it's so easy to do.
And remember, it's all time limited until the close of business Friday. If you want to get in touch, take a look how easy it is. You can go directly to simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV, or you can call the call centre, and the team are there right now ready to take your calls.
The team are fabulous. You might have a couple of questions to ask. They'll answer those. But honestly, all you're doing tonight is just securing the deals. So just saying, I would like to do a will, I'd like to do lasting power of attorney. So you don't need any information at all. But you know, one of the easiest ways, and this is the way I would get in touch, your phone's probably right there by you. If you don't want to talk to anybody, but you know you need to get this done, perhaps you're just about to go out to work, perhaps you're going to go to bed shortly, text the word will to 66777, and that will instantly secure all of those prices, whether you want the will, whether you want the lasting power of attorney, or whether you want both. So that is the simplest. Just text will, and that is the job done. And they'll get in contact a little bit later on today or over the next couple of days to then sort out a time that's right and convenient for you to sort the will out.
You can also go through our website if you're used to shopping with us, shopontv.co.uk, scroll down the homepage, and as you scroll down there, you'll see our on-screen partners. Just click on the Simpler Law logo, takes you straight through to those
exclusive offers. Tells you about all the extra deals as well. So all special deals, 10% off, the book as well to the first 250 people. But if you do make sure you actually complete the consultation before Christmas, you'll get that £10 voucher as well. And remember, especially with the will, well, actually with will and lasting power of attorney, if you haven't got these in place legally, sadly there is a will there written for you. And honestly, please stay with us, because I don't think you realise how important it is to have a legally binding will, because that government will that falls into place isn't right for anybody, whether you've been together for years like us but not married, whether you're married, whether you've got children, whether you're a single person. There are so many reasons why a will is so important.
And we're not alone, as we say. We're joined by two of the team from Simpler Law. Ian and Emma are with us for the show. Lovely to see you both again.
Hello.
Nice exclusives we've got for the show, which is very kind of you. Let's start straight away with wills, I think, Ian. Explain to everyone. Everyone needs a will, don't they?
Oh, 100%. I think Hayley said it spot on, actually, when she said it's a gift for your family.
Yeah.
And obviously, at this time of year, we do tend to think about our family perhaps just a little bit more. And whilst a will's not the most obvious gift, if you really understand what a will can do and the difference it can make to your family, because it's a really selfless thing, making a will. Of course, you're doing it for yourself, but ultimately, it's your family that are going to benefit from it. Because the advantage to having a will is you remove any ambiguity, you remove all the ifs, the buts, the maybes, you remove all the risk that otherwise exists. And if you sat there watching this thinking, oh, I'm sure everything will be okay for me, just ask yourself a really simple question. Why do you think that? Who's told you that? And unfortunately, if the worst happened to you yesterday, it's then your family that find out that it wasn't all okay, and they have to deal with a mess that can be sorted out in a 15, 20-minute phone call for not a lot of money. It really is a selfless thing. Sorry, Hayley.
No, I was just going to say, I think a lot of people just don't realise that if you haven't written a will, there is a will, and we call it the government will.
Yeah.
And that will can't be right for anybody. How old is that will?
It's 100 years old this year.
So this was written 100 years ago.
And they call it the rules of intestacy, don't they?
Correct, yeah. So the rules of intestacy, it's basically a default position. And again, if you think about it just for a second, if we didn't have a default position with these yes-no questions that you can see on the screen there, there'd be absolute anarchy.
There has to be something.
Yeah, everyone would be claiming that Dad said this or Mom said that. So it really is option one or option two. Option one is you pass away with a will that you've made, that's legally binding, that is your wishes, bespoke to you, bespoke to your estate and unique to your family. Or option two is you get what everyone else gets, which is the rules of intestacy, the government will, which frankly doesn't care about you. How can it? There's only 4 of us sat around this table, but I dare say all our situations are different, and yet we'd all get exactly the same will. And it all starts with one question. Was the person who passed away married or in a civil partnership? Not were they cohabiting, not were they in love, not were they a weird, brilliant presenting couple who've been together for 34 years.
Like how you started with weird.
That have got a really dodgy hall carpet that they've not got around to replacing.
True.
But in all seriousness, and that's the uniqueness of all of us, isn't it? Is our relationship, our family, our estates are all unique to us, and yet the government will sets out to deal with it exactly the same, and it all starts with the marital status. Please, please, please don't pass away intestate. It's horrible for your family, and in some cases it can genuinely, it sounds melodramatic, it can be catastrophic at what's already a really difficult time.
It can cause family breakups, can't it? Because even if, you know, we were saying we're not married, so it truly doesn't work for us instantly. But even if you are married, a lot of families now are on second marriages, they're blended families with children from different relationships. And that's, even if you're married, it's still really complicated, isn't it?
Depending on your own circumstances again and the size of your estate, married couples, even on first death, and forgive the finger puppets, but when we're dealing with a couple, there's always someone passes away first and someone passes away second. And on first death, believe it or not, the spouse isn't guaranteed to receive everything. There's only a limited amount. So people automatically think when they're married that, oh, well, my wife or my husband will get everything. That's not necessarily the case. And then where you've just mentioned where there's a blended family, if you imagine a couple that are perhaps on the second marriage, that's not unusual. Maybe they've got children from previous relationships, again, not unusual. Let's say Mr. passed away first and everything did go to his wife. It's only when his wife passes away, so on second death, that Mr's children realise that they're getting nothing because it all goes down Mrs.'s bloodline to her children. And sometimes we hear, well, even if that did happen, I'm sure the kids would sort it out.
Oh, can you imagine that pressure?
And sometimes it's not the children, it's the partners of the children who are going, well, you don't owe your stepchild, your stepbrother or your stepsister anything. And again, this is why this is selfless. You can remove all that risk and the ifs, buts and maybes. You can remove the single biggest reason for a breakdown in family relationships, which is passing away without a will and the arguments that follow. There's nothing stranger than folk when they're bereaved and you throw some money in the mix.
Money's involved,
And what our clients also realise when they're talking to us is that horrible moment, and it's horrible just for 30 seconds, you have to realise that when you're no longer here, your influence isn't here neither. You might be the glue that's holding everyone together and keeping everyone in check.
Yeah, so true.
And the unknown in all this is grief. So coming back to the point, the reason that we're encouraging people to do the will and we're encouraging people to do it before Christmas as well, hence the shopping voucher, is this is a really selfless thing. It's incredibly important, and it could possibly be one of the most amazing things you do for your family. It really can.
Really could be that last gift for your family. And the really important thing is as well that you do know who you want to have, you know, what. I know in your head you'll know. And it may be as well that perhaps there's somebody in the family that hasn't been great and you don't want them to have something, you know. And actually as well, and we'll go into this in more detail, it's not just the financial things in your life, you know, your house, your car, the money in your pocket. It's actually as well the fact that you know, if you've got children, what's going to happen to your children? It's when children inherit, what age they inherit as well. There's so many things you can put into your will.
Well, with a will, you can do so many different things. It's not just about the money. In fact, we'll show you with a will how many different things
what you can
deal with, because it's your wishes. That's what it all boils down to. So you can see here. And Emma, there's so many different things you can do. It's not just about money, is it?
Oh, gosh, no. So you can decide, you know, again, what age your children inherit. You can choose who you want to be the guardians of your children. I think that's truly important.
And that's a horrible thing to think about. But if both parents died, that again could cause big family upset, because both grandparents, sisters, brothers would say, well, I want, you know, they'd want me to have them.
That's it. Or worst case scenario, they go to a complete stranger that doesn't know your child, doesn't know their likes or dislikes or anything like that. How stressful would that be? It'd be truly stressful. Even things like, you know, specific gifts, you know.
It could be pieces of jewellery, couldn't it? Heirlooms, things such as that.
Been in your family for years. It might just be that you've got something that you really cherish and you just want it to go to a particular loved one.
And your pets. I know pets are huge, aren't they?
Yeah, pets are massive for me.
wills.
But yeah, they could end up in a shelter, couldn't they? So, and you know, a lot of people can't have children these days. So I think that's truly important that we think about the little things.
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely. It's not just about wills on the show as well. We are going to be talking about lasting power of attorney for you.
And I think lots of you will know, obviously, about a will. You know, you'll heard of a will, but lasting power of attorney, you may have heard the words, not really, sure what it actually means. This is so, so important. And the only reason I think we heard about it is it's about someone else's story, and you think, oh gosh, we must make sure we've got lasting power of attorney. And that was the same for us, for your mum originally. And then it was like, oh gosh, we've got to get it for my mum. It's something that is so important.
We'll get Emma to explain, because I think a lot of people at home will have heard of the term, but lasting power of attorney, what does that mean, Emma?
These are pretty much like a what if. It's like a bit of a safety net. If you was to be in a sudden accident, or you became seriously ill, maybe got dementia or something like that.
So when you lose capacity, basically.
Capacity. So it's a document that you would put in place, and what it means is that you are choosing somebody of your choice that you trust to basically step into your shoes. So in the eyes of the institutes, they become you, so they can make decisions on your behalf, you know, for controlling any finances, so the mortgage, paying the bills, you know, still being able to claim things like benefits or pensions. So they are a really, really, truly important document.
Because though you would think if you were married, if your partner was really poorly, then obviously you could step into those shoes, you'd think. I look after mum, and I know everybody would know I would always look after her. I wouldn't take money from her. So I should be able to step in and look after her. But obviously we can't, can we?
No, I think there's obviously a lot of misconceptions there. You think that, you know, even now, I couldn't go into my husband's bank and say, you know, can I draw some money out? They wouldn't allow me to do that now, let alone when he's vulnerable and he's lost capacity. So, you know, they are truly, truly important.
So that's all financial decisions.
Yeah, and we just saw that list of the financial, and that gives you an idea of the things that you can do with the financial lasting power of attorney, which is what we came to you for, first of all.
Yeah.
But then when we sat down and spoke, you spoke of there was a second lasting power of attorney. And I was like to Mum, this is, to me, more important than the money side of things. And that's the health and welfare.
The health and welfare, absolutely. This one's kind of pulls on your heartstrings as well, because it's all about the care that your loved one's going to receive. So you can decide where they're going to live, if they've got to go into a home. It's down to the little things like daily routines of what they can do, you know, what they're going to wear, what they're going to eat, what medication they're going to receive. You know, life-sustaining treatments as well. You know,
it's the real personal stuff.
It is very, very
None
personal.
of that sounds particularly important until it's taken away from you.
Until you haven't got the choice,
My best friend got knocked down by a car, and so she was poorly for many years, and it was so important. She was vegetarian, so important what she wore, that she could wear her makeup and things. My Auntie Cora loved her nails polished. You know, some things are just so important, aren't they?
Yeah,
and when
you're
someone's
just taking
poorly,
the personality away at that point, aren't you? Yeah.
And Ian, what happens if, if with will, obviously, we know now there's a government will falls into place. What happens if you haven't got lasting power of attorney for a loved one?
Again, unfortunately, there's only one route that someone who cares about you can take, and that's applying for what's called a deputyship order through the Court of Protection. That's a really expensive process, and unfortunately very long-winded as well, because courts are actually taking quite a long time. The average time for us is about 9 to 12 months, and we're professionals at it. So for some people, it's taking longer. So it's not just the cost, which is already...
Which we're seeing here.
As you can see there, you know, you're into £1,100, and that supervision fee is an actual annual fee. And that's if you actually do the application and the court process yourself.
Without any professional help.
Yeah, and, you know, most people, when you look at the form... myself, when I looked at the form, I was like, well, where do you start with that?
Yeah, of course.
So we give it to professional. I give it to much... That's why I employ people who are much more intelligent than me. But in all seriousness, you know, this is a time when you want to be caring for your loved one, not having to deal with the court process. So Emma was quite right when she described a lasting power of attorney as a what-if document. What if life threw you that curveball? What if you were unlucky and you lost capacity? One of the best things you could have is a lasting power of attorney ready to go effectively. It can be registered with something called the Office of the Public Guardian, and the people that you trust can then step into your shoes. And as I said, None of this sounds particularly important, even like managing your bank account. It doesn't sound that important, or you can quite easily dismiss it unless you've actually been there, like you suggested yourself, Hayley. The second that you hear of someone who's struggled, or you feel it happens to you, but then it is too late, because there's only you can make a lasting power of attorney, and only you can make it for yourself whilst you have capacity. We don't want you to be the too late phone call that sadly we get all too often at the office.
And it is, and that's why we'd heard about it. And just recently as well, heard another story it was on like a news programme, and it was a husband and wife, and the husband was very poorly and had got like a brain problem, and so they took him into hospital. It was a really unusual issue, and he was very, very poorly, and they actually wouldn't release him to go home to his wife, because he couldn't say he wanted to go home to his wife, and she didn't have lasting power of attorney. And she was saying how important it is. And that, I think it's only when you hear those stories that you understand that, again, it makes sense, because I can't go into Mum's bank right now. You can go into my bank and sort money out, or you've got no control unless you've got that lasting power of attorney.
We are going to go into more depth on both wills and lasting power of attorney, but before we do, let's remind you of the offers that we've got, because the prices are something else that Simpler Law offers that are exclusive with bonuses as well at the moment.
Time limited as well, to close a business on Friday. And I think one of the things that pushes you off is you think it's going to be really expensive, even at full price. And this is professionals that make it so easy to do. £249. I would pay that instantly. I think that is a great price. But look at our deals. Normally it would be £99. That's our special shop on TV price. However, you have got an extra 10% off. So if you actually make sure you just secure the deal tonight or before close of business on Friday, £89 is your price, and then you split that cost over 4 payments. So £22.25 is the first of those payments. And when you look at £22.25, just have a little think of what you spend on coffee in a week. That's your will.
Takeaway coffees, that's a couple of days.
Absolutely. So honestly, it's so affordable, and this could be your last gift to your loved ones. Perhaps it could be a Christmas gift in a way. Perhaps you don't really buy for the family now. It's so important that you have that will written, because if you haven't, the government will fall in place. But then lasting power of attorney, again, just as important. Just
as important. We just talked about it there. The lasting power of attorney should be £349. At that price, it's a good price, but our exclusive offer would normally be £199, but with the extra 10% discount, it comes down to £179, and that's just £44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. Again, spreading the cost interest-free with Simpler Law. Again, if you equate that to what you spend on, Hayley, obviously, as a takeaway.
We struggle in our area to get a decent Chinese takeaway for the two of us, honestly, and that is your lasting power of attorney sorted. But then you might be thinking, well, actually, I need both, and this is a really great option, because you have got a massive saving. Will and lasting power of attorney should be virtually £600, £598. You've got a huge saving of this, £329 saving, so you're saving more than you're spending. Our deal normally is great at £269, but you have got that extra 10% off, taking it down to £242, and that splits again over those 4 payments to £60 and 50p. So it's well worth doing that. On those payments, it's really just, well, what is it? It's another £15 more than just the lasting power of attorney, and you've got the will on top as well. But you've got lots of extras. So you've got the extra 10% off if you actually make sure you secure the deals before Friday. I would just do it tonight, otherwise you'll forget, won't you? And it'll be next week before you know it. Our producer's doing it right now. She's like, we were just talking about it earlier, how important it is, and she hasn't got a will, so she's on it right now. But we have got an extra as well tonight.
Yeah, there's an exclusive £10 shopping voucher with all consultations that are completed before Christmas. Terms and conditions apply. You can check those out. That's a Christmas special for you. So a £10 love to shop shopping voucher.
So to me, how I look at this, that's another £10 off. So now I'm thinking, oh, my will is only £79 because I'm getting £10 off
I'm off
to
shopping.
spend on the shopping. And there's loads of shops you can use that voucher at.
Yeah, it's
as
love to shop voucher. You'll also see for the first first 250 people who make their appointments, you'll get the family estate planning book. Now, this is normally £25. The first 250 people to secure those appointments will get this. And this is brilliant, isn't it?
I used to say you should have it from birth, but it's a little bit early. When you start work, you should definitely have a book like this, because it's that peace of mind for your family that if and when you do sadly pass, they're not hunting for information. It used to be you'd hunt for all this, and my mum's got so many secret places we're never going to find anything at all. But now, actually, there's so many important things. It's not just about your house and your home, and all the utility information and things are in there. But actually, lots of things now are digital, aren't they?
Yeah, digital accounts, passwords for your phone, your tablet, your computer. And we'll bring Ian in here, because how did this come about, Ian, this book?
Well, we offer a full range of estate planning services, and one of those is actually estate administration and going through the probate process. And what the administrative team kept coming up against, and we've got certain tools at our disposal, is actually gathering all the assets together.
Yeah.
That's one of the first jobs of an executor, if you like. And that's quite an arduous task. And it became evident that families themselves weren't aware that some assets weren't accounted for. And then we came across some figures ourselves in doing our own research that it's believed there's £5 billion of unclaimed pension pots in the UK.
5 billion.
And I'll say billion again, yeah, 5 billion.
Grief.
Because people might have worked at a firm for 10 years, had a pot that was frozen, life moves on, no one knows about it, so no one's claimed it.
Yeah.
So there's believed to be £5 billion of pension money that could have gone
Just
to family.
sat there.
Just not being claimed. £2 billion of unclaimed life insurance policies, £850 million sat in UK bank accounts.
Oh, my.
So that's money that should be with loved ones. So the idea of this, what my family should know, was, again, just take stock. Again, quite a selfless thing. Nice for you to do as well,
Yeah.
bit cathartic. Make yourself a brew, sit down, document what you've got. But as you both said quite rightly, it goes beyond just your assets as well. Because, you know, I'm from an age where the photos were in an album that sort of crunched together and went a bit yellowy. You know, that was the photo album. Now they're on your tablet or they're on your phone. And, you know, and if that is protected with a PIN or a password and that isn't passed on, genuinely, sadly, those memories, all those photos and videos as well, they can be lost. So again, it's somewhere else where that information can be stored. This is all about doing something wonderful, not just for yourself, but for your family. And that's why, if you're thinking about it now, honestly, please just text the word will to 66777. The one thing I always say on these shows, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, is you never, ever regret making a will.
No.
But your family might regret that you didn't.
It's like the biggest weight off your shoulders. I think sometimes you don't realise until you actually sit down and talk about it. And when you realise there is a will that's going to fall in place if you haven't written your own will. Now, remember, it's so easy to get in contact, and there's various different ways. Perhaps you're sat up right now and you don't want to talk to anybody. You can go through to Simpler Law's website straight away and just fill in your details. That's all you're doing tonight, is securing the deal. You don't need any information. So simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. All you need to know really is your name. That's it, and your phone number. And you can ring, and the team are there right now, aren't they?
Yeah, I love that you don't need any documentation with you. It's just about securing those offers. So the team there right through till 3 a.m. 0333 600 2600, ready and waiting to take your call. It's just about securing those offers.
And it might be that you've got a couple of questions. They'll answer those couple of questions, but it is just giving your details, saying, I want these prices, secure those prices, get the book, and also get the opportunity to get that voucher as well if you sort out that consultation before Christmas. And then I think the easiest way, and I enter every competition there is, but I never win, but you are going to win, because you are going to get these deals on the actual, you know, prices for the will and lasting power of attorney. Your phone's right there, isn't it? We tend to multitask watching TV and the phone in our hand. Text the word will to 66777, and that's job done. You've taken that first step, which I think we're rubbish at and we put off time and time again, but you've secured all these prices. Even if you're thinking at the minute, I'm only going to do the will, and as you watch the show think, oh, I should do the lasting power of attorney at all as well, I should say, they will secure all those prices just by texting that word will.
Yeah, even if you change your mind and you want to go for both the will and the lasting power of attorney, you can. You'll have those prices secured for you. That's the easiest way to get in touch, but you can go through our website if that's the way you're used to shopping. shopping, shopontv.co.uk. There's the homepage. Just scroll down. You'll see our on-screen partners and click on Simpler Law. It'll take you straight through to the exclusive offers. Just scroll down the page and there's a little form for you to fill in.
Gives you all the details, actually, how to get in touch. And if you scroll down, the form, honestly, is so easy. I just wish the school tests had been that simple. It is basically just your name, your phone number, your email, and the details of what you want to actually do there. So please, just make sure you get in contact. And do it tonight, because we are so rubbish at doing things straight away. We're always tomorrow. And tomorrow sometimes never comes, and with a will, one day it will just be too late. But so often, my mum needed her patio doing for about, 5 years, and it wasn't that we didn't want it doing, it wasn't that we couldn't afford to have it done, it was treacherous. She was tripping over the slabs. We didn't make that first phone call, and that's what you're doing. If you secure the prices right now, you know it is going to be done.
It's taking that first step, and we are going to go more into detail about wills now for you. Remember, the offers are fantastic, the prices are great, and they're available until the close of business on Friday.
Yeah, so just do it right now, and then you won't forget, because all of a sudden it'll be Saturday and you'll be kicking yourself because you've missed all the extra 10% off and the £10 voucher and things in the book. So do it right now. So easy to do, but if you are thinking, well, it's fine, because, Ian, I've told the kids what I want to happen to what is mine. They know where I want things to go. If we haven't written a legal will, sadly, it doesn't matter what anybody knows, that's not going to happen, is it?
No, we live in a land of law, and unfortunately, unfortunately is probably the wrong word, the facts of the matter are you either pass away with your own will that's unique to you, or you pass away without a will, and therefore legislation steps in, the rules of intestacy, as we call it, the government will is given to you after you've passed, and your family have to follow that because that's the law.
And it's just a series of yes/no questions.
Yeah, it sounds mad because you think, how on earth can the government tell us what to do? But then you always explain this and you think, oh gosh, there has to be something, doesn't there?
Yeah. Very risky. I was about to get very political then, but I dialed it in. No, in all seriousness, there has to be a default position if you think about it just for a second. If you don't pass away with your own will, how does your estate get divided?
Yeah.
How does it get distributed?
There's got to be something.
Like you said earlier, everybody could be saying, well, Dad said I should have it.
Yeah,
Mum said I should have it.
It would honestly be anarchy, it'd be chaos, there'd be no system for actually achieving that. And so that's the default position.
And these are the yes/no questions that we can see on screen right now.
Yeah, if your sight's as bad as mine, you might not be able to read those, but...
Let's use us as an example. So if we hadn't written a will, what's the first question?
The first question is, were you married or in a civil partnership?
So that's
no. No.
And the next question is, do you have children?
That's
No.
also a
And
no.
the next question is, do you have parents?
So we've got one parent between the two of us left.
So if the person that passed away had a surviving parent, all their estate goes to the parent, all parents in equal shares, and then it moves down bloodline.
So even though we've been together 34 years, probably longer than
provision.
some marriages.
Zero.
And that's why you need to write it down, isn't it?
Yeah, there'll be lots of couples out there, and I hear it a lot because I've been doing this for 26 years, and I still hear today, a quarter of a century later, people saying, yes, but we're common law husband and wife.
That's what we thought.
Or I'll hear things like, yeah, but we've lived together for 2 years, so haven't we got some kind of rights? And, none of that is actually factual.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to, when this person passed away, did they have their own valid will in place, yes or no? And if the answer's no, then they've died intestate, which means they get the government will. And this is sadly what creates so much heartache for people at an awful time, because as we've just described, the government will by definition is just a default position. It's there for people who haven't made a will, and it's one rule fits all.
And it's been there for over 100 years, so even if you're sat at home thinking, well, we're married, so obviously it'll be OK, because they'll know then we're not like Hayley and Sean, we're actually married. It's still really complicated and doesn't work if you're married.
It literally is just a series of yes/no questions to end at a destination where your estate's going to go in equal shares. So it doesn't care about anything you've said. It doesn't care about any jewellery. It doesn't care about watches. It doesn't care about individual gifts. It doesn't care what you might have promised to one son over another son or a daughter. It doesn't care if you want someone in your family not to inherit. Because if they, under the rules of intestacy, are due to inherit, that's what will happen. And I can't stress this enough. It's not enough just to tell people, as you posed earlier, well, my son knows or my daughter knows or everyone knows. I don't mean this to sound awful, but the fact is that's irrelevant. There is a legal process to follow, and it always comes back to option 1, you passed away with your own will. Option 2, you didn't make your own will, you get the government will. Please don't go for option 2. It can be an absolute catastrophe for your family. And I'm not being melodramatic.
No.
Sometimes I want to pick people up and stick them in our estate administration department just for a day.
You must see so many family fallouts because they're like, well, Dad said that was mine. You know,
and we always hear the same thing of, but they didn't want that.
Yeah.
And we're like, we know, and we know what they wanted, which makes it even worse. And the frustrating thing, and it sounds selfish to say it's frustrating for us, but we also know that we could have fixed that in a 15-minute phone call.
Yeah.
That's why we say, and that's why we do these shows. We try to reach as many people as we can. You can only find out how simple it is and straightforward it is by giving us the opportunity to help you. But we also do these exclusive offers and Christmas specials, honestly, to sort of say, look, it isn't expensive neither.
Yeah.
This is incredible value for money. Your family will only realise the true value and how amazing it was that you made a will actually at the point of need. And none of us will truly know how amazing it is until it's needed, if that makes sense. Because, you know, lots of things can happen along the way during that consultation. Clients find out all kinds of things that shock them. And clients, what shocks them most is actually sometimes they have a bit of a laugh as well with the team. Because this is not a morbid thing. This is just about planning for something. But I'll say again what I always say is that at the end of it, no one ever turns around and goes, oh, I wish I'd not done that. The consultation always ends the same way. I'm glad I've got that sorted. And in some cases, a huge weight has been lifted that they may not have even known was there. This really is a selfless thing, but please, the hardest thing about doing this is tonight.
That first step,
it's the first step.
Send that text, pick up the phone. You're right. The team are there now. If you've got questions, the team will answer the questions. If you want us to speak to you, the easiest thing is text the word "will" to 66777. We will call you back. As you said, Hayley, you will win. You'll definitely receive a call back.
That's it, you will. You'll win the deals, you'll get the book, and if you get the consultation done before Christmas, you also get that £10 voucher.
Yeah.
But Emma, for anybody that's watching, I know we all sit there and think, you know, it's going to be really complicated. You actually make it so easy. This is what I loved, and I've dealt with you for my mum way before we worked together here on Shop on TV. You virtually sort of hold our hands. It's like a sit-down conversation.
It's like this.
Yeah, no, it is.
We don't need to know anything, do we?
You don't need to know anything. It's literally like a handheld service. The consultants, the staff are just amazing. They're super friendly. You can do it in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. You don't have to go to an office or an appointment.
You don't have to go out your house.
It's at your pace as well.
Absolutely.
And you've got all the right questions.
Yeah, we ask the questions,
and we've got
the answers.
Yeah,
it's
so
your
will.
Easy.
And it's not uncommon now, and I know a lot of people might be watching thinking, oh, our sort of family situation is so really complicated. I don't think there's going to be anything that you haven't dealt with before, but there is often perhaps a child the parents don't want to give to, or a family member that they don't want to have anything, and that's quite common now as well, isn't it? So it's not just about giving; it's also making sure it doesn't go to the wrong person.
Yeah, some clients sometimes they feel a bit uncomfortable maybe talking about the fact that they want to not have a son or a daughter benefit from their estate because there's a irrevocable breakdown in the relationship, perhaps. Whilst this is no consolation to them, that is quite common.
It is quite common, yeah.
You know, those magnets on fridges that say families are the friends of the family that you choose for yourself, you know, and all these things like blood is thicker than water. It's not always true. But this comes full circle back to why it's so important to make a will, because whether you've got a family that's like the Waltons, which is amazing, or whether you've got a family that maybe is a little bit fragmented or is a little bit contentious, it's still, for both of those families, really important that you document what you want to happen, because that's the only way that a unique will is going to be actually read. It is genuinely the last act of yours on planet Earth.
It is. It's your
and you've got an opportunity today to make it's not an obvious Christmas gift, but honestly, it's a gift for your family. It's 100% selfless from you, because of course no one's forcing you to make a will. You know there's a government will that'll just step in if you don't want to make one. But that could leave a whole heap of trouble. And think about how hard you've worked for what you've got. It's very rare that someone just handed it to you.
Absolutely.
So do you want to make sure that goes to the right people?
And I think sometimes you don't realise how much you've got, because you might think, well, I haven't got a great deal, so it doesn't really matter. But you've probably got a house, you've probably got a car, you might have a family heirloom, you might have a ring that you want to pass on to a certain person.
And when we're talking about wills, I think the main thing you think about is money, isn't it? But Emma, to recap, there's so much you can do with a will, isn't there?
Oh,
it's not just about the money.
No, it's not just about the money. It's about, choosing your own executors.
And what does that mean?
So that means, who do you want to distribute your will? Who do you want to take charge of the will for you? Which I think is, again, is your choice then, isn't it?
Choose somebody you trust.
Absolutely. And you're going to choose them that you trust. It's, of course, what age your children are going to inherit.
Now, that's something I wouldn't have thought about.
Would you want them to inherit 18?
Because they would automatically inherit everything at 18.
But you can change that.
You can change it,
And Ian, you might have been sensible at 18, but...
Absolutely. if you see the photos of me with my mullet and acne, I was an absolute catch at 18 and a very, very sensible 18-year-old. I was a moron. I was a moron. If I'd have come into any kind of wealth or responsibility, looking back, I know I wouldn't have made the right decision. I know I would have had a hell of a lot of fun, but I wouldn't have made the right decision. And we're not even saying this anecdotally. We know for a fact. We've got over 250,000 clients. A lot of those are parents, obviously. And where they are parents of minor children, it's actually the minority that go, oh, yeah, let them have it at 18. They all go, oh, well, 21, 20, in some cases 25. Sometimes they stagger it. But again, it's your will, it's your choice. These are the conversations that you can have when you speak to us. And people are like, oh, I didn't realise I could do that. Because when you give parents that choice, the vast majority say, actually, maybe 18 might be too young. In some cases, they'll say, well, can they have a little bit at 18 and then a bit more at 21? And again, your choice.
And it's your choice. You can do exactly
Absolutely.
that.
That's the whole point of the will, is it's yours. It's going to have your name on it. It's going to be your decision, not ours. Yours.
And everybody needs a will, because I know for us, the government will that will fall in place if you haven't written your own, it's not going to work. We're not married, even though we've been together 34 years. If one of us passed, we wouldn't be entitled to each other's money, which is crazy.
And we
but that
didn't realise that until we wrote a will.
And then if you're married with children from, well, even if you're married with just your own children, again, it doesn't work like you think it's going to work. If you're married with children from different relationships, definitely not going to work. But a story that really sticks in my mind, because if you're at home sat right now and you're single and you're thinking, well, I don't really need to write. I haven't got a partner, I haven't got kids, who am I going to leave my money to? Would you remind us about that story about the gentleman who was, he was a doctor or a surgeon? Because he was a
professional,
Because again, I understand, and obviously we don't know why he didn't write a will, but I understand in my mind, I think he probably thought, well, I'll wait till I get married, I'll wait till I've got children, and then I'll write a will.
He was relatively young as well, he died unexpectedly. So, like you said, we'll never know.
No.
But the backstory was, what we found out when this story was told was that when he was born, his father basically left his mom, and effectively left his mom to bring up 2 children as a single parent. Now, we don't know the backstory to that. That's what we know as a fact. So the dad was not in his life at all. No birthday cards, no contact. I don't even think there was any financial support there from memory. This gentleman then goes on to make something of himself. He becomes relatively successful. He's never married. He's never had children. And then unexpectedly and suddenly passes away. Life can be cruel. That's what happened. So he passed away. So again, you don't think any more of that particularly until you hear the full story then that when he passed away, he didn't have a will. So the question was asked of him, because he was then given the government will, the rules of intestacy. Was he married in a civil partnership? The answer was no. The next question was, did he have children? The answer was no. The next question was, does he have parents? The answer is yes. So his mom, who's already having to deal with the loss of a son, which is just, let's not dwell on that for too long, then has to track down her ex-husband who walked out on them decades ago, so that you're entitled to half of our son's estate.
Now, I've heard the story before. It just makes my hair stand on end each time, because you're just that's not right.
Most reaction that you get, and this was from memory told by the mom and the surviving brother as well, so it was horrible. That's why it stuck with me. But the reaction that you tend to get is disbelief, or I often hear it's not fair. But life isn't always fair, and this isn't about fairness. This is about you either pass away with your will or you pass away without a will. And I think that highlights And the reason that story was actually published, if you like, is it was trying to highlight the fact of how important a will can be. When people say that I think it'll be okay or it won't matter to me, and sometimes you get people who go, well, I'll be dead so I don't care. That's quite a flippant position to take, but your family will. So please, that's why this is a selfless thing. It really is a selfless thing. And what a brilliant time of year to do it for your family when we think about them a little bit more. We'll never know why that young man didn't make a will, we can guess. But I think we also could guess quite easily if we were able just to speak for him 10 seconds and say, when you passed away, the dad that you never met got half of everything that you wanted. Is that what you would have wanted? I think we can all reasonably guess that that would have been a no. So making a will just removes all the ifs, buts and maybes because it's yours. When Emma was talking about what certain things can be achieved with a will, the thing to take from that and from the graphic that was on the screen there is you choose your executors. You choose what age your children inherit. You choose the guardians for your children. You choose who inherits and when. You know, in different shares, it doesn't have to be equal shares. It's all you. It's really common for moms to want to separate out wedding rings and engagement rings if they've got more than one daughter, you know, so it's yours. All we do is facilitate that. We've got all the questions. You certainly have all the answers.
The other thing we should talk about are those templates that are out there.
Love them.
I know you don't like them, Ian.
Because you can get a template, but you do have to pay for them.
Yeah.
And sadly, they can go horribly wrong because obviously we don't know legal terms or how things should be written down.
Well, let me tell you very, very quickly. If you take that all-important first step tonight, let's say you text the word will to 66777 now. Later on tomorrow, you'll get a phone call. We'll book an appointment. If it's before Christmas, you'll get an extra £10 shopping voucher. We'll send you some information to basically prepare for that appointment. Don't worry if you've got time to read it or not, because then we'll hold your hand through the whole process. We'll ask you a series of questions. You'll be able to answer them, no problem at all, I promise you. And we'll give you some advice along the way. And then it's up to you whether you take that advice or not. But at the end of it, you'll only get a document from us that's right for you when you're 100% happy with the advice we've given you, that we carry £5 million of professional indemnity insurance for, and you're 100% happy with the answers you've given us, then you get your document. So you get all that advice. When you get a template, who's giving you advice?
Nobody.
All the template does is guide you to put your name there, who you might want your executors, very headline. It's not there to give you an advice. And if that goes wrong, even down to signing, dating and witnessing the document, which is part of the process, and we help you with all of that, you don't get any of that with a template. And you nailed it as well, Hayley, when you said you've still got to pay for this.
Yeah.
The Treasurer, I think, this year is set to earn something like £9 billion in inheritance tax receipts. A lot of that is avoidable just with the right estate planning. Do you think a template's going to give you that advice?
No.
That's why we do these shows. We want to say to people, please, you might not realise it yet, but if you phone us or you text us, it might be an amazing thing you've done for yourself and your family. You might save thousands in tax. You might save an absolute nightmare down the line for your family just by making a will with us tonight.
Because we don't know, and you do, and you know when the laws change, you know exactly what's happening, and you know how to write it all down.
And here's our other guarantee. If you take that step tonight, and please do, because life will get in the way. If you go to bed tonight, you'll wake up tomorrow and, you know, I'll do it after Christmas, and we never get around to it. So please, if you're thinking about it now, do it now. It'll be amazing. But when you speak to us and you're going through the consultation, if you turn around and you think, do you know what, this is not for me. This is not what Ian said it was going to be. I want my money back. Have a guess what we'll do? We'll give you your money back.
Great.
Yeah. Do you know when you finish your consultation, we'll give you another 2 weeks after that as well. So if you want to change your mind, you can change your mind with that confident that this is right. Because remember, it's not our will, it's yours, and that's the important thing. The government will isn't yours, that's for everybody. You contact us tonight, and I promise you, you'll get your will that's right for you and your family.
And for such an amazing price, honestly, there is no reason when you hear that, you've got that peace of mind, you've got nothing to lose, but actually what you're going to gain is make sure that you actually, what you've worked so hard for, what you want to happen to whatever you've got, whether that be a house or a car, whether that be a ring or a family whether it be the dog or the cat.
It's what you want, and then you write it down and it's all there, and your wishes will then be delivered when you've
There'd be nothing worse, would there? And I know I don't know what happens when you pass, but I'd like to think that my dad watches down, and when I see a white feather, when I see a robin, they just happen at the right time. But wouldn't it be horrendous if that you're looking down and you're watching your family fall out because they know what you wanted, but you never wrote that will? And tonight you can get that will sorted. All you're doing right now is securing the price. And the prices are
great.
incredible.
And they're exclusive prices that we've got for you. Time limited until the close of business on Friday, remember. We've got some extra special bonuses for you tonight as well. So the will itself should be £249. Our offer price comes down to £99, but as a bonus, we've got an extra 10% off. It comes down to £89.
And when you split that cost over those 4 payments, how much do you spend on... I can't believe how much a cup of coffee is. Oh, we stopped for one the other day. It's absolutely crazy. They gave me a big cup by mistake, and I was like, how much? It was like £8, wasn't it?
A mistake. You paid for it.
Well, yeah, I did, but I didn't want it. I said regular, thinking that was small, and then this big, huge cup came. I was like, oh, my word.
I won't pay full price for a can of coffee, but I'll pay more than the cost of a can of coffee for one drink. It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So that is nothing, is it? £22.25, 4 payments. That is your will written. That's your final gift to your loved one. That could be your Christmas present to your family, saying, I've actually written the will. You know, this is don't even need to tell them, but this is what's going to happen, if you like. And it's the final gift to those loved ones. Lasting power of attorney, we are going to talk about this next. You can see the prices there. Normally £349. Our regular deal, £199. Extra 10% off if you actually secure these deals before close of business on Friday. But just do it now, because you'll forget, and it'll be Saturday or Sunday or be Christmas before you know it.
Too late, yeah.
So it'll be too late. And one day it will be too late. You didn't do it. £179 is our price tonight for lasting power of attorney, and you can split that cost over 4 payments. £44.75 is the first of those 4 payments. And then if you do choose, when we go into lasting power of attorney next, and you think, well, actually, I wish I'd said I wanted the will and lasting power of attorney. As long as you've secured the deals in some way tonight, they will secure all these prices. So if you want to add on, when they ring you back and say, OK, I'm just ringing about your will, and you say, well, actually, can I add on the lasting power of attorney? They'll say, yeah, of course you can. You can have it for £242, because that's normally £598. Our regular price is £269, but you have got that extra 10% off, making it so affordable.
Yeah, it comes down to £242, and then the 4 interest-free payments there as well. £60.50 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. We've also got a couple of extras for you. Christmas special bonus, if you like. As long as you complete your consultation before Christmas, you'll also get a bonus £10 shopping voucher from Love to Shop. The other thing, the first 250 people will receive the book called What My Family Should Know. That book is a place where you can record everything from your pensions, your bank accounts, your passwords for your computer, for your tablet,
all the information a loved one
all
needs.
in one place. Yeah.
And when someone's devastated that a loved one has passed, and then they've then got to try and hunt for all those different bits of information, and perhaps you want to find photos on the tablet and you don't know the password, you need to get onto your mum or dad's or grandma's phone. Everything is in that book, and it's the first 250 people that will actually get that. So please, this is one of the other reasons to do it right now, because sadly people do miss out on this. They always disappear, these books. If you secure your deal right now, you know your book has been secured as well. And of course, if you do that consultation and you complete that before Christmas, you've got that extra £10 voucher as well. But what we should do is just speak a little bit briefly about lasting power of attorney.
Yeah.
Because I think this is something that lots of people, well, I say lots of people, you might have heard about the phrase, you might have heard about it on the television and news just recently, but for us, it was because you hear of a horrible story where someone didn't have a lasting power of attorney and everything went really horribly wrong. So that's the reason we originally got it for your mum and then your dad. And then I was like, no, we've got to get it for mum. Because, Ian, everyone's heard about a will, and a will always be used. But could you explain what a lasting power of attorney is?
Yeah, I want to be clear that it's not an insurance policy, but it can be thought of in a very similar way. And I refer to it as a what-if document. A lasting power of attorney can be put in place by you today if you have mental capacity. So you have the ability to donate your power. You're actually called the donor when you make a lasting power of attorney because of that fact. You are actually saying, I would donate my power in the event of, and the event of is usually losing mental capacity through something like illness or an accident. And the illness, we're all living longer. We know that dementia is very prevalent at the moment. Our current charity is the Alzheimer's Society. We try and do a lot of work for them because we realise how awful that is. And it's very rare that you speak to someone that hasn't been directly or indirectly affected by that. And unfortunately, once you're deemed to have lost capacity, you then can't make a lasting power of attorney. And what the document does is it allows you to set out, if I lose capacity, and let's, for example, say that I wanted both of you to be my attorneys, I could name you, Hayley, I could name you, Sean, as my attorneys. If I lose capacity, for all intents and purposes, you can step into my shoes. And in the eyes of all the institutions that I normally deal with, you become me, because I made it clear that I trust you to make the decisions on my behalf. And that might sound unnecessary, but actually it's very necessary. And sadly, it's only when someone does become incapacitated that their loved ones realise just how restricted they are in what they can do for them.
Well, you presume, a bit like a will, you think, oh, I've told the whole family knows what I want to happen to my, what I own, and sadly the government will falls into place and that doesn't happen. But it's a bit the same, really, because you think, well, I look after mum now, so of course everyone would know I wouldn't do anything wrong. If she was poorly and she couldn't sort her own bills out and things, I would do that. Or if there's a partnership, or you're married, you think, well, look, it's my husband, it's my wife. Of course I can sort out their financial things. But Emma, that's not going to happen, is it?
No, unfortunately not. Obviously, even when they've got capacity, you can't just go into their bank and ask to draw some money out, can you?
We should tell my wife that.
No, but you can't. I went with Mum to the bank the other day and I sat her in a chair over the other side because she was tired, and just went up to the counter and did a few bits. And then all I wanted actually was a payment slip. I wasn't asked, I was putting a check in. Could I have a payment book for Mum? And they're like, well, you're not Sylvia Green, sort of thing. So then I had to go and get Mum and physically bring her to the counter. So even now I couldn't go into a bank and sort her bills and things out. No,
and I think what some people think as well, if they have a joint bank account, they think that'll be okay.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because the person, your loved one that's lost capacity, has got their name on that bank account, they could freeze that as well.
You have to have both people with capacity.
Absolutely, yeah.
Gosh,
absolutely.
you would think, wouldn't you, if it was joint?
No.
That's the same for jointly held property as well, so houses can get deadlocked as well.
Oh, wow, yes.
It really makes a bad situation
even worse.
So much worse when a lasting power of attorney is not in place. And again, we're having this conversation because, of course, it's never going to happen to us. That's what we all want to think. And it's if life throws you that curveball, and that's why I said at the beginning, it's not an insurance policy, but the what if element is very real. And if you think about what we do insure, we'll always go to the tangible things. So we definitely insure our cars, and we fully insure our cars. We'll insure our house, and we'll insure our contents. We'll insure a boiler. We'll insure our phones.
My mum insured her dishwasher.
Sorry.
For years, honestly.
It's only because I know what you're about to say.
Insured her dishwasher for years. She's got the old family big dishwasher. It takes her a week.
We could live in it.
She puts it on once a week. And she says, do you think I should cancel this? I was like, how long have you been paying that? She could have bought about 300 dishwashers for the price of her insurance.
And this isn't me saying cancel insurance, is just to be absolutely clear.
But we do easily.
We forget about ourselves, and we'll insure our pets, and understandably so. But I was speaking to someone, and the amount of money they were spending on their cat was astronomical.
Oh, it is expensive.
I thought, you must be really loving that cat. And I was looking at that cat thinking, that cat's not loving you back. That cat was the boss of that house. But, we will spend money to protect all these things that we can sort of see, but we forget to protect ourselves sometimes. And this is a one-off payment for a lasting power of attorney. Yes, there might be a very small registration fee with the Office of Public Guardian. The most that's going to be is £92. In some cases,
once you've done it with you guys.
Yeah.
And there are two types, aren't there, of lasting power of attorney?
We just recap on property and affairs for you. So all the different things that you can do. As we've said, it's about claiming pensions, benefits, financial contributions, property. We talked about dealing with HMRC as well. So that's the first one, property and affairs.
The summary is really important there, Sean, because that's a really limited list.
That paragraph at the bottom, I think, is really important.
We wake up in the morning, we throw the quilt back, and lots of things are done digitally and automatically now, but they still need our input and they still need our authorisation. And if one day comes where we don't throw our quilt back, just think about all the institutions that you deal with that you have to have an input with. And if your family tried to speak to them, the first thing they'd hit is data protection.
Well, so that's the first question, isn't it? Are you the account holder? If you say no, it stops there.
So whilst we put that graphic up, and quite rightly so, and we put a few headlines in there, I won't say it's infinite, but it's
that's just the start, isn't it?
it's sprawling. And that's why we sort of say that essentially you choose someone that you trust to become you, because that is how powerful this document is. And you'll never know how powerful or how much it's needed until life throws you that curveball. And then I promise you, your family will be so glad that you did it, because a bad time isn't made worse. And unfortunately, a really bad time can be made so much worse by not having them there. But you're right, that's a property and affairs one, then there's a more emotional one.
Yeah, the second one's a bit more personal, isn't it? I know
we came to you for the financial lasting power of attorney for Mum. And then when we sat down, because this is the great thing, you don't need to know anything. You sit down,
really
it's a conversation like this. Me and my mum, biggest worriers ever, honestly. if I've got flashing lights behind me, I know I've done something wrong and I haven't, we're the biggest worriers. And so we were dreading the actual appointment, and it was so, sounds crazy to say it was nice, but it was so nice. The team, the girl we sat down and spoke to became a friend, really. No question, I never felt I was asking a daft question. But you ask all the right questions, and as we were chatting, you were saying, well, actually, there's 2 lasting power of attorneys. And when you told me about the second one, I was like, Mum, this is just as important as the financial, or actually health and welfare, I think even more important for me personally, for Mum.
Yeah, this is where it touches your heart, really, isn't it? Because you're there to make those choices that your loved one would have wanted. They get to keep their personality, they're them still. So it's things like choosing where they're going to live, their daily routines.
Somewhere close to you.
Yeah, because you don't know if they do have to go into a care home and you don't have a lasting power of attorney in place, but they haven't got a care home close to your home, and it might be an hour away or even further. And if you don't drive or anything like that, gosh, how often are you going to see them? So even things down to what they eat, who can see them even? They might be estrayed from a family member.
Yeah.
The care home or wherever is not going to know that, they don't talk to that member anymore. They're going to let them in and see them.
Yeah, there was a story, actually, and this, it sounds crazy, but wasn't there a nurse?
Christmas time.
Yes, it was Christmas time, actually, yes. She took her mum out of the home for Christmas Day, didn't she?
Literally hundreds of stories like that. You can find them dead easily, but and she was arrested.
Because
sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing at that, but it's...
No, but it's so bizarre. It was her mum. She's a nurse. She wanted to take her home for Christmas, but because she didn't have lasting power of attorney...
Yeah, so technically, it sounds melodramatic, doesn't it? It sounds overkill, but again, technically, she kidnapped her own mother.
Yeah.
And it comes back to what we were saying earlier. If you genuinely just take a breath, take a step back, what rights do you have over your own parent, especially if they're actually in the care system? And unfortunately, without that lasting power of attorney, without that donation of mum's power to you, that's when you have to go through all the legal channels to try and get something done. You can't just turn up and take your mum out of care. And even though she was a nurse, sorry.
You'd think, yes, she should be able to do it, but then it was like it's couples as well, because sometimes you think, oh, this is for an older person. That's how I always thought wrongly. We need to do our lasting power of attorney, because you just don't know what's around the corner. But for the lady that I saw, and this I watched on the TV, her husband, he had a brain issue, and they took him into hospital, and then he got really poorly. And they wouldn't let him go home to his wife because he couldn't say he wanted to go home and let his wife look after him.
So they couldn't get his permission, and he hadn't donated his power.
And she hadn't got lasting. So then she had to... Because what happens, she had to then try and get lasting power of attorney, and how do you do that?
Well, once you've lost capacity, or if you deem not to have capacity at that time, you can't make a lasting power of attorney. No one can make it for you. So you can only do it, without sounding crass, today. Now, whilst you know you've got capacity. Because when it's too late, sadly, it is too late. And if you don't make a lasting power of attorney for yourself, and then you do lose capacity, the only route that your loved ones or your family, and you hope it's the right person, you hope it's someone that steps forward that would have been someone you choose for yourself, has to apply for something called a deputyship order through the Court of Protection. And that's a really expensive and really arduous task at a time when you want to be caring for your loved one.
So it's cost, but it's also time that you're talking about, because it can take such a long time, can't it?
Honestly, I understand if you had a crystal ball, I get it. If you had a crystal ball and you could see your life mapped out and life never threw you that curveball, you'd be like, I don't need this. And that's why I call it the what-if document. In a weird way, we want you to make a lasting power of attorney and, of course, never have to use it.
Yeah.
Because that means you've never lost your capacity, so that's great. But again, sadly, sometimes I just want to put people in our Court of Protection department, in our lasting power of attorney registration department, and say, this is a sad situation, but this person had a lasting power of attorney. Look what's happening now. This is a sad situation identical to that one. They didn't have a lasting power of attorney. Look at what the family are having to deal with now.
Because the family now then have to go down to and try and get the rights to look after their parents, and the cost of that.
The court protection
is
fees
so
are phenomenal.
Expensive for a start, and you've got to find this money. You can't get this money from the loved one you're trying to look at because you can't control their money. So you've got to find this money.
It's an initial outlay for the person that steps forward, and as I said, I'm stressing the point as well that you're hoping, even though you're incapacitated, you're hoping it's the right person that you would have chosen for yourself. But you can see on the screen there, the application fee alone is £421. You know, the offer that we're offering tonight as an exclusive is only £179 to draft one. And if you set that consultation before Christmas, you're going to get another £10 effectively off that through the shopping voucher as well. Yeah. So the application fee is already very expensive. They'll do an assessment fee if they ask for a hearing fee. You'll see that then when they add a supervision fee, which is annual because you're supervised by the court, in some cases where they give you a deputyship order, they'll restrict how much you can spend. That includes husbands and wives. There's a well-known story of a lady whose husband actually got knocked down on the road. He was in a coma for 3 years. He'd not got a lasting power of attorney. She had to go through the court of protection, but they limited it to about £500. So every time she wanted to spend more than £500, and she tells the story where she went to pay her own daughter's tuition fees, but had to seek permission from the court to do so.
Every time.
Every time as well, yeah. So it can be very restrictive. So it's not only is it very expensive, it can take up to a year, sometimes longer, for the application to be granted. And when it is, you're still then beholden to the court because by definition, it's the court of protection that's sort of looking after you as a deputy. Whereas if you made a lasting power of attorney, you're telling, a bit melodramatic, but you're telling the world, I trust this person or I trust these people.
No, that's exactly.
You know, and usually it is your partner, it's your wife, it's your husband, or it's your children. It's someone that you trust. But again, you have to document that today whilst you can.
Well, it's no good. And we don't know what's around the corner.
No, and that's why this first step is the hardest and is the most important.
And I think one of the worst things, I mean, the cost of trying to do it yourself after, and it's that time you said, to actually, if you haven't got lasting power of attorney, the time it takes. Because surely you must see situations where someone's trying to get control to look after a loved one, whereas while their loved one's really poorly, all they really want to do is sit by their bedside. You were saying it could take 9 months. Possibly that person could have died in that time. Yeah,
it's not. Sadly, that's the reality of it. And when we speak to those people as well, because quite often they'll contact us and say we don't need to proceed with the application because they'll tell us that their time and their energy was elsewhere. Yeah. So
it's devastating.
Look, making a lasting power of attorney is as selfless as a will, in so much as you're doing it for the people that you leave that are looking after you, if you like, the people that you care for. But you are doing a lasting power of attorney for yourself as well, because you know that you're naming people that you trust. So again, it's your document. It's not ours, it's not anybody else's, it's yours. And you only truly know how important these documents are if you need to use them. So it's definitely a case of planning for the worst and hoping for the best. And as I said, if we could see into the future, you know whether it was the right thing to do it or not. My wife and I have had ours ever since we've been together. Touch wood, we'll never need to use them. And we've updated them a couple of times since, you know. And our boys are getting older. Not that we trust either of them with that decision. But in all seriousness, you know, we've had them in place and just hope that we never ever need to use them. But we've got that peace of mind that they're in case life does throw. So important. Just like the will, so important. And so important to secure it tonight.
Once you've done the lasting power of attorney, there is a registration, isn't there, just afterwards? Yeah, there's a government body called the Office of Public Guardian. Those documents have to be registered there. Again, we talk to you about that as well, because some decide to register it straight away. Right. Some decide, well, I'll keep it safe for now. The important thing, the really important thing, is to get it validated by us, for us to say that it has been signed, dated and witnessed correctly. Yeah. We are still registering a document called an enduring power of attorney, which no longer exists, but was signed correctly like 20 plus years ago. That's how valuable these documents are. But the registration fee, there is a third-party registration fee that the Office of Public Guardian charge. The maximum is £92 per document. So again, in the big scheme of things, not a lot of money. No. Depending on your circumstances, that can be halved, and in some situations, it's even free. Yeah. But just to let you know,
talk us all through that, how that's done. You can do it straight away, or you can do it
individual
when you need
choice.
to.
Some people like get it registered. Other people are like, well, you know, my son's only 18. I'm not happy to have him now, but I might want to have him in a couple of years. Okay. So it's like, well, we'll stick with these for now, but we won't register it because we might want to change it in the future. And they cover, you know, both ends, if you like.
Great. Yeah.
Now, massively busy, always on these shows. Remember, it's so simple to get in touch, but the deals that you're going to see are only there and available up until close of business on Friday. So have a look at prices, whether you are thinking about doing just the will tonight. And I think wills, I always thought a will would be so expensive to do. I thought it would be really complicated. Simple law make it so easy,
That
but
was
my
the
goodness.
things that put us off,
so
isn't
I
it?
thought, yeah, I thought it would be thousands of
Price
pounds.
and complication,
Yeah.
because it's a legal document. But you don't have to be scared of this. It
You
really
don't need
is.
to know anything. It's a sit-down conversation
Hand-holding
like we're
service.
having tonight, and they know the questions and you've got the answers. Honestly, you don't need any information apart from you want to write a will. And that price should be £249. Our normal sort of shop on TV offer is £99, but you have got that extra 10% off if you get this sorted. Well, not completely sorted, but actually just get in contact and say, I want to secure the price before close of business on Friday. So you'll get the price of £89 and you'll also get the opportunity to split the cost over 4 payments. So £22.25 is the first of those payments. And we spend £22.25 so easily, don't we? I popped into the supermarket the other day for one item, ended up spending £60. You're like, what? How? I didn't have a meal. I was like, what have I actually bought here?
Wine is expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you do think, you know, well, I spend that. I spend more than that on coffee. So grab that deal while it's available. Lasting power attorney we were just talking about.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Remember, there are 2 different kinds of lasting power of attorney. £349 is the suggested retail price. The offer price down to less than £200, but with the extra 10% off, it comes down to £179. And with those 4 interest-free payments, £44.75 on your first of 4 payments. Again, when you equate what you spend £44.75 on.
We can't get a Chinese takeaway round our way for that, just for us. Now then, if you decide, you might have already got in contact with us and you've said, I want to do a will, and now you've listened to the lasting power of attorney, you think, oh God, I wish I'd put that on as well. As long as you get in contact tonight in some shape or way, and we'll show you how to, you've secured any of these deals. So if you decide then, could I change actually? When the team get back in contact with you later on today or over the next couple of days, and you say, well, actually, could I have the will and lasting power of attorney? They will happily do the price you see on your screen in the red there. So this is a massive saving. Should be £598. Our regular sale price, our shop on TV deal, is £269. You've got the extra 10% off. So actually right now, if you secure these prices before Friday at close of business, it's £242. And then you get to split that cost to 4 payments. So the first of those payments, £60.50. And if you look at the lasting power of attorney at £44.75, it's only sort of £15 more to add in that will as well. So when you split it over those 4 payments, £15 each time. It's so affordable, and that's such a huge saving. So you've got the extra 10% off if you make sure you secure the deals before close of business by Friday, but you've got even more.
Yeah, there are some bonuses available for you. So first of all, if you secure your consultation and it's completed before Christmas, you'll also get a £10 shopping voucher for Love to Shop. And that's with all consultations, whether it's lasting power of attorney or the will. But you just need to make sure you take that first step right now and before the close of business Friday for all those extra special discounts that we've got for you. Also, the first 250 people to secure the offers will receive that family estate and planning book. Now, these are fabulous because in this one place, you've got all the information you need.
All the things that your family, your loved one will be hunting for, the information that they will need if you pass, and it's all there in one place. I really do think as soon as you start work you should have this, because you probably won't know all the pensions your parents or grandparents actually got over their life, but actually now it's more complicated than that with digital accounts. And we came across this just recently where a relative of Sean's, the father passed really wasn't meant to,
Really
he wasn't poorly, it was really unexpected. And no one could get onto his tablet, and they really needed to get onto his tablet because it's emails now rather than letters. So mums will be hunting through secret boxes and all sorts that she'll have hidden everywhere. But now it's actually on emails, and they couldn't get onto this tablet. It's also sometimes personal photographs that are on there.
Yeah.
And the only reason they managed, and it was just by chance, that, you know, they were really pulling their hair out, what can we do? Because there's really nothing you can do if you don't know the password.
The grandson passed by as they were talking, and he's like, I know the password. I play on the tablet.
Yeah, I play games on Grandad's, and that's the only reason they managed. So having that information in that book
all in
is
that
fine.
one place.
But only the first 250 people get that. So if you're securing your deal tonight, right now, you know you're going to be one of those. Sadly, they do go really, really, really quickly. So do grab those whilst you've got the opportunity for that extra. And of course, that £10 voucher as well if you actually get the consultation done before Christmas.
Really easy to get in touch. Several different ways for you to get in touch. We are working directly with Simpler Law, so you can go direct to their website and get those exclusive offers. It's simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. That takes you straight through to those exclusive offers. If you want to call the call centre, they have their team in the call centre right now, right through till 3 a.m. 0333 600 2600. If you're watching on our +1 channels and it's after 3 a.m, you can go to the website, or you can text. And texting's always the most popular
Always
way,
the
isn't it?
busiest, and it's so easy, isn't it? Because we've always got our phones right there, right next to it. We multitask, don't we? Watch TV and we've got the phone in our hand. I enter all the competitions with the text. It's done in an instant, and I never win the competitions, but you will be winning tonight because you will have secured all those deals by just texting the word will. As simple as that to 66777. So if you do that, the job is done. And it is that first step that we're rubbish at. How often do you see an amazing deal? We saw an amazing deal last year, the weekend between Christmas and New Year. The price was ridiculous. It was great. I said, shall we go? Shall we go away for a weekend? We'll take Mum. It'll be great.
Yes.
We're like, shall we go? Yeah, we'll do it. We'll book it. And I went to book it on the 2nd of October. I didn't read the small print that the deal finished on the 1st. And it went up £600.
Wow.
Did we go away between Christmas and New Year last year? No, because we missed out on the price. And we're so rubbish at doing that first step. We wanted to go. We were happy to bet. The price was great. Just do that first step and you know you've secured that price. Now, if you're used to going through our website, it is really easy to do it via our website, shopontv.co.uk as well.
Just go straight to the homepage. If you're struggling to find it, just scroll down and there it is, on-screen partners. You're going to click on the Simpler Law logo and it takes you straight through to those exclusive offers. It explains everything you need to do. You scroll down there and you're just going to fill in that form. Again, really simple, really straightforward. The other thing to point out, once again, if you change your mind, if you're going for a will and then you want to add in lasting power of attorney, you'll still be able to do that, and Simpler Law will honour the prices that we've got for you as long as you fill in the form, as long as you take the first step, as long as you send that text.
Yeah.
And
Don't
that's
need
what
any
you're doing.
information, you just need to secure the prices. So either ring up to give your name, all you need to know is your name.
Yeah, you
and
don't
your
need any
contact
documentation,
details.
really.
Or as you saw, fill that form in, or text. That's the simplest way. If you've got a phone to text the word will. It's done. 66777, and you've secured all those prices. And once that first step's done, you know you are, even if you're going to go away for the next 3 weeks or something, you know you've got the price. When the team get back in contact with you to later on today, tomorrow, and say what day's good for us to really sit down and talk about this, you can say, well, we're away, I'm afraid, for 3 weeks. And they say, OK, so we'll sort out a day the end of January, the beginning of February. As long as you make sure you get in contact today to secure the price, it is done.
We're talking about wills and lasting power of attorney, but we're going to go back to wills. So if you've just joined us, we're joined by Simpler Law. Ian and Emma are with us to tell us exactly how easy it is to write your will and how affordable, as we've just gone through those offers there.
And how important it is. Because, Ian, if you haven't if you haven't writ a will, that's not very good, is it, at all? If you haven't written a legally binding will, I don't think, and we didn't realise, there is a will that falls into place, which we call the government will.
Yeah. Look, none of us typically wake up on a Saturday morning and go, I'm going to go on the internet and see what happens when I pass away. Yeah. And this information isn't readily shouted from the rooftops neither. But yeah, there was a set of rules that was basically set up in legislation in 1925. I'm not sure celebrates the right phrase, but it's celebrating its 100th birthday this year. And that was the default position for everyone that passed away without a will, hence why we call it the government will.
And we still use that today?
Still use it today. Very little has changed since 1925. A few numbers have changed. Other than that, the amendments have been really minor. And it still is all driven by the marital status of the deceased. You can see a snapshot there on the screen. Unfortunately, if your eyes are as bad as mine, you might not be able to read it brilliantly. But you see that first question at the top, and they're all yes or no questions, is are you married or in a civil partnership? And when it says are you, it's talking about the person that's passed away.
Right.
So were they married in a civil partnership? And without being facetious, it's not asking if you've been together for 20 years, if you've lived together for 2 years, if you're madly in love. If you think you're common law husband and wife, unfortunately, that is not a real legal position.
We've been together for 34 years, so that first question, I say we've failed. Well, our answer is no.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that you don't pass or fail on this, but you fail in the sense that what you want to happen wouldn't happen, because this is always going to have an outcome. So the rules of intestacy never fails, because there's always an outcome.
Right.
It just might not be what you wanted it to be. And when I say might not, we've written hundreds and hundreds of thousands of wills. We've never once written a will that's anywhere near mirrored rules of intestacy, because it's not personal at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't ask who you want your executors to be, for example, who you want to administer your estate, because that provision's not there. It doesn't care about you or your family. It doesn't ask if you want to give your children different shares or let them inherit at different times. There's nothing personal about it, but there'll always be an outcome. There's a series of yes or no questions that'll end up with a family member, either a close family member or family members or distant ones.
Are you married? Have you got children? Have you got parents? Have you got... And is
Brothers,
this how
sisters,
sometimes you hear a story where a long-lost cousin from Australia, which the person had never met, you hear about the person down the road that died, and all their money and their house and everything has gone to this person nobody knows?
Yes, second cousin twice removed from your auntie's
'Cause
dog's
they're a
lover's
blood
brother's
relative.
uncle. Something like that, yeah.
Now, you told us a story, I remember, about a guy and his neighbour, and he had wishes that...
Really close friends, yeah. It's a single guy, and everyone knew that the house was going to be left to Bob. It was just known.
They've been friends for years. He looked after him.
We talk about that a lot on these shows. We talk about it a lot in the real world. Not that this isn't the real world, but we talk about people making promises and assurances and believing that that's good enough and that they don't have to do any more than that, because everybody that knows them knows. But when he passed away, he passed without a will, and Bob's not even a relative, even though he was the closest person to him for decades and his closest friend. He'd ended up going to a second cousin, or might have been a first, ended up going to a cousin that he had no relationship with, who now lived in Canada, which everyone who knew him and knew Bob and knew everyone around in that community, you know, it was almost like, oh, so what are you going to do with the house then, Bob? And he had to say, well, he's not coming to me. And they're like, yeah, but that's what he said. And he said, no, he passed away without a will, so he didn't actually leave the house to him. Now, Bob, to be fair, to his credit, you know, was like, well, I never wanted the house, I never expected it.
Yeah,
but weirdly, everyone was upset for the guy that had passed away, because everyone knew that that's what he wanted to do. And so his wishes weren't being carried out. And that's probably one of the hardest things for loved ones and friends and people that care about you to actually see happen, is there's almost like an injustice to it. But the sad fact is, you either pass away with a will, or you pass away without, or you get
the government will doesn't work for anybody, does it? Because even if you are married, so the first question, you know, are you married? Yes. Yep. And so you've got past that first question. If you've got children from different relationships, and though you see your family as being a bonded family, the kids don't see themselves as step-sisters and step-brothers. You know, you are one big family. Yeah. Sadly, that's really complicated to who dies first sort of thing, isn't it? If you haven't got a will written, a legally binding will written. Absolutely.
And it's not unusual for us to speak to a couple that are on the second relationship or even third relationship, and certainly not unusual to speak to people who've got children from those previous relationships. But if you just jump back 100 years when these rules were put together, that was almost unheard of. You'd be freaking out if someone said, oh, they've got remarried, you know, you'd be casted out of society. Yeah. But of course today, that's perfectly normal, blended family, and perfectly normal and acceptable. That, again, you don't see your two girls as one as your daughter and one as your stepdaughter. You know, in lots of cases, they've raised them since they were... Yeah. So everyone treats everyone as if the parents and children, absolutely understandable. the rules of intestacy doesn't care about you. The rules of intestacy only cares about your bloodline and, again, your marital status. So forgive the finger puppets, but in that scenario, if you've got Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and let's say Mr. Smith has a daughter from a previous relationship, Mrs. Smith has a daughter from a previous relationship, when Mr. Smith dies without a will, and let's say their estate's worth £200,000, everything goes to Mrs. Smith. That all seems perfectly acceptable because that's what they would both want. But then they probably both said that they wanted the girls to inherit in equal shares. When Mrs. Smith dies without a will, it goes to her daughter only. And that's when people are going, that can't be right, that's not what they wanted. But it follows her bloodline. And unfortunately, Mr. Smith's daughter's not in her bloodline, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's a lottery, but basically the first parent that passes away has unwittingly disinherited their children. And this is something that happens, I'm sad to say, daily.
And I truly think it's because people don't realise.
Yeah,
people don't know. They think they've discussed it and that's what will happen.
And I dare say there might be someone listening to me now going, yeah, he just wants us to buy a will. You're absolutely right. Yes, I would love you to buy a will, but not because of simple law want you to buy a will, but because it's the right thing to do for you.
Yeah.
And you can check everything I'm saying.
Right thing to do for your family,
Yeah, because when we get those phone calls, they're absolutely horrible because we're the bearers of even more terrible news.
When people are super upset and emotions are really high already, it must be the cause of a lot of family breakup if a will hasn't been written and then all these things are happening and people know that that wasn't what mum and dad wanted, that wasn't what...
The unknown power of grief and bereavement, and I will say one thing, look, a will does not diminish a bereavement in any shape or form, but what it does do is it doesn't make it worse. Because any ambiguity, any ifs, buts or maybes, any concerns about what your mom, your dad or whoever your loved one is wanted to happen is all there documented in a legally binding document, even down to things like the funeral wishes. We've heard of families falling out because they can't agree on the music for a funeral, for example. Even that's something that you can put in a will.
Didn't you have that with two brothers, and one brother was saying no, they would want this, and the other brother was saying they'd want that, and then actually in the will it wasn't either. It
was the best outcome ever because neither of them won effectively. But yeah, it was like they were both wrong.
Yeah.
And by a country mile as well, it was like no, it's a different genre. I mean, we've had some pretty funny requests as well, where the consultants had to go, really? And it's like, yes, I definitely want the Wicked Witch is Dead to be playing. You're like, okay, it's your... But it's your will.
Yeah, it's your choice.
This is the thing, is it's yours. And if you don't make your will, no one's going to do it for you. And unfortunately, that is when your family are given the government will, which doesn't care about any of that. None of that's documented.
No. And all the things we talk about when it comes to a will, the things that you can do with your will, there's so much more than you think.
Yeah, you instantly think financial, don't you? And there's so much more.
Yeah. Emma, we're seeing a list here, but there's even more than this, isn't there?
Oh gosh, there's so much more than that. And as Adam,
I'll answer to anything.
Hey, you've been promoted.
As Ian was saying earlier, you know, you can make it so bespoke to you.
It's your wishes, isn't it?
It's your wishes. If you want to, when it comes to the children's ages, if you want to kind of, you know, just give them a little bit every, you know, when they're 21, when they're 23.
Yeah, instantly they'd inherit at 18.
That's right.
And a lot of 18-year-olds could blow all that money before they were 20.
I mean, my son's 18. I wouldn't trust him right now.
He's not getting it.
He wouldn't.
Now.
No. But things like guardians as well. You know, people assume.
Sometimes I think
we've got so many godchildren. I'm like, we're going to have a flat, you know, we have to have flats.
An annex.
Yeah, because you think, well, you know, I've said that we'll look at, if anything happens, we'll look after them. But actually, that's
not legal position.
It's not legally binding. It's just obviously...
It's a religious
thing, yeah. So choosing a guardian, I think, is just so truly important for such a cheap price. You've just taken that stress away
it's so important,
because that could be a real family upset as well, Ian, couldn't it? If there's... Because and it's a horrible thing to think about, if both parents die and they've got young children, it could be that both grandparents come forward and say, no, they'd want me to look at it. Both, you know, sisters, brothers, no, they'd want me. And what would happen then if where would the children go?
Unfortunately, then that decision is made by someone that's never met you, never met your children, and never met the people that are putting themselves forward to be the guardians of your children. So it's a really difficult situation because they may or may not get it right. And you're right, sometimes it's competing grandparents. In real awful situations, no one steps forward. because, you know, best friends who you might have nominated don't feel like they should or they can.
Gosh.
And thankfully it's quite rare, but in some circumstances children can become a ward of the court as well. So basically they end up in the care system because it wasn't documented, and no parent wants to think of not seeing their children grow up. Myself and my wife, we have 2 young boys, they're teenagers now. That's lovely. But obviously we've had guardianship clauses in our wills for a number of years, and to be fair, we've changed those guardianship clauses as our friendships have changed. And
Right.
And you know, not that it was because we named them as guardians, but our first guardians are no longer together.
Right,
so it's not appropriate,
yeah.
you know, and as life moves on. But it gives me and my wife a certain peace of mind that whilst we don't think on it, and we certainly don't dwell on it, that we know that if the worst happened to both of us, either together or, you know, whilst the boys are still young, we know they're going to go to someone that loves them, that's got similar values to us, that we're happy happy is a strong word, but, you know, that we know they're going to be okay. And I think any parent, that's all they want, is to know that the children are going to be okay. And that's why it's so important, even if you only make a will for that reason, to pass on your parental responsibility, because it is something that you can pass on through your will. When you sign anything for the school, there's only 2 classes of people can sign for the child. That's a parent stroke guardian. And you can name the guardian through your will. But again, it's selfless, you know, but as a parent, and I am a parent, so I feel that I can say this with some authority, I want the best for my boys, and that is making sure that the guardians are in my will. You can do that now with a quick phone call or a quick text. Don't let life get in the way. Don't say everything will be okay. Please don't fall into the trap of, well, it's okay because my sister knows. That might happen, but why would you take that risk when you can actually put it in a legally binding document and make sure that it's known by everybody and is in a legally binding document that
and
it
do
will
it so
happen.
affordably tonight as well.
Yeah.
And don't wait. I think that's the problem with so many things. We watch things like this and then we think,
put things off,
I'll
don't
do it tomorrow.
And then all of a sudden it'll be
Doesn't
Christmas,
happen.
then it'll be spring, then you'll be booking the holidays for the summer, and then sadly all of a sudden it'll be next Christmas, and it could be too late. You just don't know what's around the corner. You hear so many stories now, and you just don't. We had the wrong thought of, you know, we don't need a will till we're older. And luckily, we realised we did need a will, because we just presumed we're not married. We've been together though 34 years, and everybody that knows us, we're Shayley. We are. Everybody that knows us knows that what's mine is Sean's. What's Sean's is mine. But sadly, if one of us passed, if we hadn't have written a legally binding will, I wouldn't have been entitled to anything of Sean. Sean wouldn't have been entitled to anything of mine. How crazy is that? But that is the truth, because it has to be written. If you haven't written a will, there is a will. You have got a will, so you can't be sat at home thinking, well, I haven't got one. You have got one, because the government will fall in place, and sadly, that will not be what you want. And I do believe, and we don't know, but I do believe my dad looks down and, you know, I get a white feather, I get a robin, and wouldn't you be looking down devastated, watching your family fall out, because you've told your family what you want to happen, but sadly you passed without writing that will, and now the government will falls in place, and what you wanted to happen is definitely not happening if that government will falls into place. I think we think the writing a will be expensive, and tonight you can see it definitely isn't. You've got extra discounts and extra vouchers and all sorts tonight. So tonight is the night to secure the deals. But I think it's going to be complicated as well.
And this is really straightforward.
They make it so easy.
It's a hand-holding service. When you look at the reviews, the Trustpilot reviews, people rave about the experience that they've had. And a lot of the time they talk about the team that they've worked with. So Alison said this, great service, extremely helpful, very informative. And Morgan, who managed my will, was extremely pleasant and helpful and made the whole procedure very easy and very clear for me to understand. Couldn't have asked for better. Really nice man. That one from Alison.
And there's loads of these.
And most of the reviews that we look at mention the team.
Yeah, rather than simpler law, they talk about the actual person, because you do become. Because I did my mum's lasting power of attorney with simpler law before they worked with us here on Shop on TV. And you do very much become friends because you're sharing sort of personal information.
Yeah.
You have a giggle as well when you do it. And at no point do you think, at no point did I think a question was too silly, or I couldn't ask something, or I couldn't email and say, oh, I forgot to ask that. You're so helpful. You truly hold our hands.
God, absolutely, yeah. And it's just such a relaxed service, to be fair, because you can do it in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to an office for anything like that. And the consultants, the staff, they're amazing. They will just literally ask you the questions. You've got all the answers. And if you're unsure, they'll explain it a little bit more for you. And yeah, it's not hard, not hard at all.
They know that, because this is all they do. We don't specialise in any other area.
No.
I mean, we mentioned Morgan there. Morgan's an experienced consultant, but he knows every time that he speaks to a client that it might be their first time, might be their only time that they make a will. So we sort of park everything that we know, and without being patronising, we hold your hand through the whole process because we appreciate there might be things that you don't know. So we'll only draft your document when you're 100% happy with everything we've asked you and any advice that we've given you, and you're 100% happy with the instructions you've given us. And we'll check that throughout. And only when you say I'm 100% happy will we actually produce your document for you. If there's any doubt, we won't produce your document for you because it's got to be 100% right, because it's yours. And this is, we talk about wills and we talk about lasting power of attorney. Lasting power of attorney might be needed, hopefully not. We know a will. We've yet to meet anyone that is immortal. So there's an inevitability to it. But it's interesting what you said about people putting it off, because you know, we like to think that it's decades and decades, decades away, and hopefully it will be. But there will be a day when it's too late, and there's just no point in taking that chance. And the hardest thing about making a will is deciding to do it. The hardest thing is sending the word will to 66777 tonight. And seriously, how difficult will that be to do? But making that commitment is actually harder than anything else you'll do. Because speaking to Morgan or another member of the client care team, you'll find is actually quite pleasurable, weirdly. It's not morbid.
Not at all.
We have to take you to a laugh, don't you? You can have a laugh.
Some people are properly surprised by, well, we sort of had a few giggles through that, because we need to know about you, we need to know about your family, this is all about you, so you share a bit of what you want to happen. We only take you to a dark place for 30 seconds. You know, if the worst had happened yesterday, what would you want to see happen? And then what you want to happen, we make happen. The government will doesn't do that.
No. And it's such a relief when you've done it as well. You don't realise, and especially when you sit down, because there's lots of things you don't think of, and the team will ask you, and you think, oh goodness, I didn't even think about the cat or the dog, or perhaps you are thinking about the cat and the dog more than the kids, or perhaps you've got a family heirloom and you know that needs to go down your, you know, the family name, and you think, oh gosh,
you can decide.
Or perhaps it might be what you'd like at your funeral, or whether you want to be buried or cremated. You know, all those things can go into your will, what age your children inherit, and your guardians to children. Yeah, I think lots of the times we instantly think it's money, and you think, well, I haven't got a great deal, so it doesn't really matter.
It's bespoke to you and it's bespoke to your circumstances. That's the key. And that's why I think that the client care team love what they do as well. I mean, they tell me that. I don't know if they like it. But in all seriousness, because they know, and this, again, it might sound a little bit cheesy, but I promise you it's not. They know when they're doing a consultation, they're doing something amazing for that person. They know they are. Because we see the outcome at the end of every time.
Because you're award-winning, because you've won a fabulous award for your company, haven't you?
I think I have to take full credit for that.
I think it's all those names, the Charlottes, the Morgans, and of course you.
No, look, the client care team are a huge part of that because they're the customer facing. You know, it's like if you phone 0333 600 2600 tonight, you're likely to speak to a member of the client care team. Yeah. They're there. That's how committed they are. They're there at this time in the morning as well to take your call. So, of course, they're a big part of it. But it's the whole process. You know, we won that award because of everyone from booking the appointments to the consultation to the specialist will writers that draft the documents, to then the customer service team that phone to make sure you've got the documents, to make sure you're happy with them, to help you sign them, to make sure that we validate them so we know we can say to you, yes, this will work as and when the worst happens. All of that is a massive team effort. And that's why we were awarded.
And all of that is really important because it is very important things are signed properly. And it's no good. I know you might be at home thinking, oh, I've looked at those templates. And you can, and you buy them. No one's giving you those. You do pay for them. But
so you can write your own, you can fill in your own form, but
they can go
there's no expert advice there. you can also get the wording wrong, can't you?
Yeah, wasn't there a story about
Oh, yes,
grandparents? And they knew what they wanted to happen. They were writing their will, so
filled it
they
in
knew in their
themselves.
heart where they wanted things to go. But they wrote it incorrectly, didn't they?
Yeah, I will say something quite flippantly, like first death and second death when we're talking in the office and things like that, and everyone understands that straight away.
But we wouldn't have a clue.
Because that's the world that we live in and operate in. And when you're dealing with a couple, we'll talk about first death, so one of them's passed away, and then the second one's passed away, because usually couples make a will together. But because you don't know who's going to pass away first, you have to ask the question certainly about gifts, or when do you want that to happen?
Yeah.
And yes, the gentleman that did the template, it was a basic template that just said, what's your name? Who do you want your executors to be? Do you want to leave any gifts? And then after the gifts have been made, where do you want everything else to go, which is called the residue? And it was filled out pretty reasonably, but it mirrored it for his wife, so they got 2 identical ones. But the gifts were wrote as in first death, and what I mean by that is they wanted £20,000 to go each of the grandchildren. But it was clear from speaking to the family, they wanted that £20,000 cash to go to the grandchildren after they'd both passed away.
Oh, gosh.
So it should have been written in the wills after everything was left to each other first, if that makes sense. So he should have died everything to his wife, then when his wife dies, then the cash gifts to the grandchildren. But they'd written both templates that the cash gifts came out of the estate before the residue went to each other. So this £20,000 liability per grandchild became due immediately. And the reason they wanted it to be paid on second death is there was just a house in the estate. There was no cash.
So it had to come out of the house.
And it turned out he owned the house solely. So it was all the money and wealth was in his estate that he was going to leave to his wife, but actually he didn't because he wrote the cash gifts first. And then it transpired that when he wrote it, there was 3 or 4 grandchildren. So there was like a £60,000-£80,000 liability. And when he passed away, there was 8.
Oh, God.
So now £160,000 is due to the grandkids in a legally binding document, but he'd not taken any advice on it. And if his wife then passes away, the same £160,000 is due again, which if it was written professionally, you would say, well, when do you want that gift to come out? And you'd make sure that it would only be paid once. So I was going to say I'm not criticising because I shouldn't, but I am. Because you can only know what you know. There's a reason I don't service my car. Not a clue. There's a reason when I have a toothache, I go to a dentist. And I'm not, again, I'm not being facetious.
To an expert,
Simple law, all we do is estate planning. You don't come to us for divorce, for personal injury claims, for boundary disputes. But if you want to protect everything you've worked hard for and make sure it's going to go to where you want it to go, then you speak to us. Please speak to a professional. If you haven't got a background in estate planning, you don't know the ins and outs of inheritance tax and exactly how to draft a will, please don't take the chance. Because weirdly, it's worse than not doing a will at all in some senses, because you can see what someone wanted to achieve. You're not guessing, you can see what they wanted to achieve and it still went wrong. We see a lot of them fail because they're not signed, dated and witnessed correctly, which sounds like an easy thing to do, but people get that wrong as well. We hold your hand through the whole thing right up to and including getting the documents signed and witnessed. So, and at these prices, the monthly payment for the will is just over 70p a day equivalent, and we know what we can spend money on quite easily. That's much more than that. And if you sit your consultation before Christmas, we'll give you another £10 off that effectively with a shopping voucher. So I don't know what else we can do to make you send that text tonight.
I think the other point, what you made earlier, the fact that if you're not happy with the service, you offer a money-back guarantee as well.
100%, yeah. If as you sit through the consultation, or even before you get to the consult, if you change your mind at any point during the consultation, just say, this is not for me, I don't want to do it. Any money that you've paid we'll give straight back to you. Even after you finish your consultation, we give you another 2 weeks after that and say, if you're not happy within that period, if you change your mind on anything, we'll give you your money back. So there's no risk to you in doing this. And the cheesy line that I always use on these shows, but whenever I speak to anyone, I say the same thing because I genuinely believe it's true. No one regrets making a will. There's nothing to regret about it. It's not like a bad hairstyle or that jacket that I thought looked good on me, which really didn't. But no one regrets making a will because there's nothing to regret about it. But your family might regret that you didn't. And that's why it's so important. You can't fully realise just how valuable making a will is going to be until that point of need. And when you see it stop all the extra heartache and stop the falling out and actually your wishes being carried out, especially when you consider that the rules of intestacy might have torn that family, your family, to pieces, by making a will, you stop that devastation from happening. So it's really selfless, it's really important, but please, you've got to send that text or pick up the phone.
You've got such incredible
prices. We can't do it
prices.
telepathically.
It's so easy as well to do, and you do need to do it right now. And remember, if you haven't got a will, you have. And that is the government will. And sadly, you might be sat at home thinking, well, the family know, everybody knows what I want to happen. It's not going to happen, because as soon as you pass, if you haven't got a legally binding will, the government will fall into place. And that isn't right for anybody. It's 100 years old. And when people married once and probably had 2 children, but still it wouldn't be exactly right.
No.
How can one will be right? It wouldn't be right for us. We've been together 34 years, but we wouldn't have been entitled to anybody, either of our, money, because we're not married. So our first answer to the first question would be no, and then it would carry on. And this is how all of a sudden that person down the road that passed, a long lost relative from Australia, none of you met them, nobody heard about it, you didn't even know, you don't know if they knew them, but they got the house, they got all the money, because it goes down the bloodline. You know what you've worked so hard for, you know what you want to happen, you know what you want people to have, and perhaps there's some people you don't want to have things. That can all be put into
It's all your
will.
decisions written down.
And so affordably.
It's so affordable, and at the moment we've got exclusive offers, remember. So whether it's a will, a lasting power of attorney, we'll run you through those offers, in fact, to show you...
well, I thought it'd be really expensive.
Yeah.
We put it off. We have only done our will just quite recently, and we put it off because we thought it'd be really expensive.
And complicated.
I don't like law things. I think it's going to be really complicated. There's going to be big, long words. I can't... What does that mean? I've got no... I'm going to feel daft. Not at all at any point.
And you can ask any questions as you go through the process.
And you'll never feel daft asking any question. The team, and it is a sit-down conversation, will become friends,
The other thing I loved is once you're assigned a person from the client care team, you deal with the same person all the time. So you're not dealing with lots of different people. You have that's why you have those reviews that mention the names. Because you really build a relationship, don't you?
My dad used to go mad at hospital when he was poorly, and someone else would come and they said, so what's the matter with you, Mr. Green? He's like, you are kidding me. You should know what's the matter with me. Ask him over there, because he knows what. And you think, can I just have one person dealing with me?
Really nice.
They know what's going, and that's exactly what will happen. You'll have that one person. So if you need to contact and ask that, I was emailing, I forgot to ask this, and they're there to contact, and it's so simple.
And no questions too difficult, no questions too complicated. They really talk you through the whole process.
It is rare that anyone says simple law were good, quite frankly.
They'll say the person.
They never say simple law was good. They will say...
It's always the person.
They will say that Charlotte was good, that Kylie was good, that Jack was good, that Morgan was good, and any raft of those client care team members.
You become a friend, and I know this because we did my mum's lasting power of attorney, which we are going to go into details of that, with Simple Law before they came with us here on Shop on TV. And the lady, she became a friend. We had a bit of a laugh. We had, a nice chat. And you don't need to know anything. This is the best bit. And me and my mum, biggest worriers, what information do we need? None of it. It's all in here. Simply Law have got the questions. They sit down and ask the questions, and you have, even if you don't think you know, you've got all the answers.
Let's run you through all the offers that we've got available for you right now. Remember, it is a time-limited offer until close of business Friday with an extra 10% off. But there's also a couple of other bonuses as well for you. So we start off with the will itself. It should be £249, and that's a great price.
I thought it'd be thousands, I thought it'd be really expensive to get a legally binding will with that reassurance. This is what they do. You've got that insurance as well with your money-back guarantee, but actually you're not spending £249. Normally it'd be £99, but you've got an extra 10% off if you just secure the deals before close of business on Friday. So just give your details, say I want to do a will, and that will then guarantee you're actually getting that at £89, and you've got the opportunity to split the cost over 4 payments. So £22.25 is the first of those 4 payments, and I bet you spend more than that on coffee, more than that possibly on chocolate, And biscuits.
Yeah, easy.
So we spend that money in an instant, and that is your will written. What you've worked so hard for, what you want to happen with it, is going to happen because you've got that legally binding will. And don't forget, if you don't write a legally binding will, the government will fall in place, and you don't want the government saying what's going to happen to what you've worked so hard for. Then you've got the lasting power of attorney, which we're going to go into next.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a couple of moments for you. You've probably heard of the term. You might have been thinking about getting lasting power of attorney. £349 again is the suggested price, great price. But our offer price was just under £200. But we're going to give you a bonus 10% off until close of business on Friday, so it comes down to £179, and you can spread the cost interest-free there as well. 4 interest-free payments, £44.75 on your first of 4 payments for your lasting power of attorney. Remember, there are 2 different types there. However, the best deal of all is if you go for the will and lasting power of attorney. Should be just under £600, £598. The offer price comes down to £269, but with that extra 10%, it comes down to £242. And that's just £60.50 on your first of 4 interest-free payments.
So good, isn't it? If you actually look, your payment-wise, your 4 payments, it's only sort of £15 more each payment, and you're getting the will and the lasting power of attorney. Now, you might be watching, and you might have already contacted, and you said you just wanted the will, and now, you know, we're just going to talk about lasting power of attorney. You might then think, oh, gosh, I wish I'd asked for the will and lasting power of attorney. It's a bit like you bought the jacket and you wish you got the trousers as well. Well, as long as you secure your prices right now, you're secure in any of those prices. So when the team get back in contact to sort out a day to sit down and talk it all through, if you say, well, actually, I asked just about the will, but I'd like will and lasting power of attorney, they say, that's fine. You can have the deal, £242 that we said on the day, as long as you secure the deals before the end of business on Friday. So I would just do it tonight, because you do tend to forget, and before you know it, it's Sunday, isn't it?
Take
before
that
we know it,
first
it'll be
step.
Christmas.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So do it now.
Now, there are some bonuses available for you on the show today as well. First of all, if you do your consultation completed before Christmas time, you'll also get a bonus £10 shopping voucher for Love to Shop. So that's another bonus on top of everything else.
See how my little mind works. I'm now thinking, oh, that's £10 off 89. So my will's gone down to £79 now because I've got a £10 voucher I can spend in so many different shops. That's fabulous. So if you want to do that, get that, you know, get it all sorted before Christmas, you've got that extra £10. To me is like another £10 off. But another really good thing to secure the deals right now is for the book. The book is worth £25, and this book, it always goes. And then people, can we buy it? Can we buy it? The first 250 people will get this book, and I think every person that's, you know, as soon as you start working, should have a book like this to write everything down in. So if you do pass, it's for the family to find and know everything is in there.
Everything in one place. All the obvious things like life policies, savings, accounts, your house and home, your utilities, but then also things like digital accounts, things like your phone password, your computer password.
There's loads of things on your phone.
All those different
tablets.
all those passwords, my word.
You wouldn't even think about that. I would just think, oh gosh, I'd have to find all the secret places where mum's put everything. But actually, now so much is digital. It might be an important email, might be photos that are on there that you want to keep.
Real personal thing.
But if you haven't got the you can't get on. No one can find that password for you. And we had it just recently. A gentleman, a family member, his dad died, and it wasn't expected at all, completely out of the blue. And they really needed to get on his tablet.
Everything was on his tablet.
And they couldn't. No one knew the password. No one had an idea. And it only happened, and they would never have got any of this information because there's no way of getting it. But the little grandson happened to walk past and heard them say, and he was like, I know Granddad's pass.
Used to play on the
I used to play on his games on there. And that's the only reason. Otherwise, all of that would have been lost. They wouldn't have been able to get onto that at all.
But you can have it all in one place.
Again, all the things you wouldn't even think about. And you might have had so many different pensions, and your kids aren't going to know about those pensions. It's all in that book. Again, at a time when things are so upsetting, when you've lost a loved one, making life so much easier. But only the first 250 people will actually get that. And remember, so easy to get in contact in any way, but you must do that right now, otherwise you'll forget, because all the deals only until close of business on Friday. So you can either go via Simpler Law's website, simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV.
And that'll take you straight through to all those exclusive offers we've been talking about with the extra discounts. You can call the call centre, 0333 600 2600. The team are there. They're ready and waiting to take your call. If you are watching on +1, they're only there through till 3 a.m, so you can go to the website or you can text if you're watching on our +1 channel.
If you've got a couple of questions, you can ask on the phone. But honestly, you don't need to have any information. All you're doing is securing the prices tonight or this morning. And the easiest way is, like Sean says, text Will. Text Will. This is the simplest thing to do. Your phone is right there to 66777. It's even, I can remember the number. It's even an easy number to remember. And all you're doing is texting the word. I do all the competitions where you text. I never win. I think it's 745,000 this week. I never win, but I still do. It's just so easy. I do it. You will win tonight, because if you text Will to 66777...
Everyone's a winner.
Yeah, because you've secured whichever deal you want to go for. You've also, if you're quick enough, will get one of those 250 books. And if you actually sort out the consultation before Christmas, you'll get that £10 voucher as well. But it's securing those prices. Text the word Will. That's what we're so rubbish at, is the first step.
We are, yeah.
And there's so many things you know you've got to get a will done. You now know that if you don't do your will, the government will falls into place, and the government will is 100 years old, and it is not what you want to happen. What you've worked so hard for, don't let the government say where it's going to be given and who's going to get it. You sit down and write the will with Simpler Law to make sure what you've worked so hard for does go to the people you want it to go for, and it all go to. And if you are watching and thinking, well, oh gosh, how did they say to get in contact? All the details are on the screen. I always say take a photograph. It's right there, but do it right now. But if you're used to contacting via our website, you can go via our website as well, shopontv.co.uk. Stay on the first page and scroll down, middle way there, where it says, first of all, post gold for cash. Go along. There you go, Simpler Law. These are our partners here on Shop on TV. Click onto that. It reminds you of every reason you want to secure the deal right now, the voucher, the book, the prices. And then if you scroll down, again, really simple. You fill in that really easy form. You don't have to speak to anybody tonight. If you fill in the form, job done, submit, that's the deal's all secured. If you text the word Will to 66777, that's it. It's done. And whether you're running out to work or going to bed, you've taken that first step, which is what we tend to not do, and then it's too late.
Yeah, Ian always says, don't let life get in the way. I love that phrase, because we do that all the time, don't we? We start doing something and we never get round to finishing it off. Click submit if you've filled your name and your phone number and your details there, and you've secured those offers. And even
if you're going away for the next 3 weeks, it's busy, it's Christmas. If you go, fine. When they get in contact with you later on today or tomorrow and say, when's a good time for us to sit down and talk about the will or the lasting power of attorney or both, whatever you've decided to do, you say, well, I'm away for 3. They'll be fine. That's great. You've secured the deal. You've secured the price. You've got the book's there waiting for you. What date can you do it? And if that's the end of January, beginning of February, great. But don't forget, if you manage to get it all sorted before Christmas, you'll get an extra £10 voucher
The sooner
as well.
you do it, the better when it comes to this kind of thing.
It's that peace of mind.
It's done.
You don't know what's around the corner,
The weight lifted off your shoulders. So we've talked about wills. We are going to go on now into lasting powers of attorney, because these are things I think lots of people have heard of the term, especially recently. Lasting power of attorney has been on a couple of shows that we've watched, a couple of mainstream TV shows, saying how important it is to have a lasting power of attorney.
I think it's because there's quite a lot of illnesses now, isn't there, that you lose capacity. You can't speak for yourself, you can't look after yourself. And if you haven't got lasting power of attorney for a loved one, you actually can't help them. You can't control their financial side. You can't be in control of their health and their welfare, because they can't actually say that they want you to do it. So then again, it has to all go through through the law. Whereas actually, if you give your trust into someone and have a lasting power of attorney, and I say I'd like Sean to make sure everything's okay if something happens to me, it's all legally bound again. And it's so important. We did this for Mum through Simpler Law before they worked with us here on Shop on TV. But actually, so many stories now. My dear friend got knocked down by a car, been poorly for many, many years, and if they hadn't had lasting power of attorney, everything is out of your hands. You can't really look after the loved one like you would like to.
We'll get Emma to explain exactly what it is, because we just mentioned if you've lost capacity. So, Emma, explain what lasting power of attorney is, if you would, so everyone at home can know.
It's a bit like Ian always says, you know, we don't have crystal balls, we don't know what's round the corner. So with these documents, you would put them in place while you have capacity. So you need capacity to put them in place. And they are what we call the what-ifs, the what-if documents. So we hope that you would never have to use them. But if you were to lose capacity through, you know, an accident or an illness, then you are technically giving power to somebody that you trust. So you're called a donor on the documents.
Right. Okay.
So you're donating your power to the person that you trust the most, or persons. You can have more than one person, more than one attorney.
It can be whoever you want.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely. And they then can make decisions on behalf of you that you would have made, you know, if you had capacity.
So there's
even though
two different types, aren't there?
So even though you're so poorly, you've got someone that's going to have your
Best interest.
Yeah.
And make sure that, because the world keeps carrying on, doesn't it?
That's
so though
it.
you're poorly, you've still got bills to pay, there's so many things. And like Sean says, there's two different types. We came to you originally for the financial side of things.
So as I say, money makes the world go round, so it doesn't stop, unfortunately, just because we've lost capacity. So, yeah, with the financial side of things, you can still deal with, you know, you can manage bank accounts, you can deal with property, pay household bills, you know, investments, still claim your pensions, anything like that as well. Deal with the HMRC even. I mean, that's just a snippet, really, of what you can do.
And you might need to sell a property to put somebody into a home and things, but you wouldn't be able to... I think in our heads, a bit like Will's, you think, well, I've told everybody so they know what I want to happen, and that's not going to happen if you know, it has to be legally binding written will. But you think, well, you know, it's my husband, it's my wife, it's my mum, it's my dad. Obviously, I'm going to make sure that have their best interests at heart. But I look after mum now, but if she was poorly and she couldn't speak for herself, I wouldn't be able to go into a bank and sort of bills out, or... You
wouldn't, no. You wouldn't be able to do that, even if you had, you know, a joint bank account, or you owned a property jointly as well.
Oh, gosh.
You know, you need two people, two signatures.
So if your
on that
partner
mortgage,
that you've got a property with, or you've got a joint bank account with,
they could possibly freeze it. So then you can't access your own money either.
And we heard a story just recently, actually, and it is those situations where you think this is crazy, but it was a situation where it was a gentleman and he was poorly, and they discovered there was something the matter. He'd got something the matter with his brain. He went into hospital and he was extremely poorly and got very, very ill. But he was going to be able to go home, but because he was too poorly to say he was happy for his wife to look at, and his wife was telling this story, for his wife to look after him, he couldn't go home, and she had to try and get permission to have him home because she didn't have, and she was saying this because we hadn't done our lasting power of attorneys.
It seems slightly ludicrous, but when you're in the care system as well, and social services, all that kind of thing, they can't make an assumption that just because you're married or, you know, you've been in a long-term partnership, you can't make the assumption that's the right thing. Certainly when it comes to finances and when it comes to health and well-being as well. And that's why lasting power of attorney documents are so important, and they take on an additional importance when it's too late, weirdly. That's when people realise, oh, if I'd had the authority, this would be so much easier now. I could just say that it's okay. It's like you always talk about, everyone in your circle knows that you want the best for your mum, and no one will be worried about you looking after your mum. But wider society and institutions can't know that for a fact.
No, of course.
All they will see is someone trying to make decisions about someone that they haven't got the authority to do that. Now, you've got a lasting power of attorney, so you can. And in that scenario where that gentleman ended up with a brain disorder, they were basically, well, this is his wife, but we're not sure because he can't say that he's happy to go home to his wife. So weirdly, they were kind of... whereas if there'd been a lasting power of attorney where he said, I trust my wife implicitly, there wouldn't have even been a hesitation there. And a lot of people say there shouldn't be anyway because they were married. But that's the whole point of the document, because it removes any ambiguity or doubt. So when it comes to finances or your health and well-being, you today, whilst you've got capacity, can say, I trust this person or these people to make decisions on my behalf. And without it, it's very difficult for the people that love you to actually be able to help you, because they've not got the authority.
And there are the two lasting power of attorney. So we touched on the finance side of things, but then there is the health and well-being. We came originally for the finance, but as soon as we looked, Emma, at when you explained about the health and well-being lasting power of attorney, I was like to Mum, this is just as important or more important.
Yeah, it's the emotional side of things. I think it is one that everybody should definitely have in place, just to keep your loved one's personality in place as well. So, things that you can do with this one would be, down to what they wear, what they eat, where they're going to live, who can see them as well. You think about families, they go on family holidays, and you think you can take your loved one with you. Yeah. It's not the case. Even just going, to a national park or a day trip, just to take them into town. You wouldn't be able to do that either without this document in place.
That paragraph at the bottom, I think, is so powerful. Essentially, you choose someone you trust to manage your affairs, and in the eyes of the institutions and companies that they deal with, they become you.
That's far from an exhaustive list, because again,
it's just the beginning.
Some things are more relevant to
different people.
Different people.
Yeah.
Again, it's whilst the document itself is bespoke to you as the donor, obviously then your attorneys are dealing with you uniquely, because they know what's right for you. Whether it's a dietary requirement, whether it's like she always wore red lipstick, and I remember my great auntie, even in the summer, always wore like a fur coat. It was like mind-boggling to us kids, but she was she was in inverted commas proper. For her not to be anything other than that, even when she went into care, was unthinkable.
Well, you lose them then, don't you? My Auntie Cora loved her nails painted, and if we went into a home and her nails were tatty and uncared for, I know she'd be devastated.
These all sound like really trivial, insignificant things, and they're absolutely not, and they become heightened. It's like anything else. When it's taken away from us, the importance is enhanced. And these small things that often make us, when that power's taken away because you've not donated your authority and there's no one that can step in, because frankly, and it sounds awful, no one cares as much as you, because they can't, then these small things become amplified and become a real big problem. Because, you say, where you live and what you eat and what you wear, and it's like, but that's because we're not in that position where we can't make those decisions for ourselves. That can be down to hearing the stories like the nurse that got arrested because she wanted to bring her mum home for Christmas dinner.
That was in the papers, and it was Christmas. It was this time of year, wasn't it? And she just took her out to take her home to have Christmas with the family.
A nurse who knows how to care for people as well. Yeah.
And didn't she get arrested, or the police came because they thought that she'd kidnapped her?
Well, and unfortunately, I'm smiling because it's kind of ludicrous, but these stories, there are hundreds of them, absolutely hundreds of them, because technically what's happened, of course, they've taken someone without their will and their permission. This woman is in the care system. It's the care system that's responsible for her. And if you think about it, I couldn't just rock up to my brother's house or my sister's house or my parents' house now and go, hey, you're coming with me. Yeah. Even when they've got capacity. One, they'd say no, but when they haven't got capacity, that's when they become vulnerable, and so they need more protection. So it
makes sense.
It can't be assumed that, well, your daughter's a nurse and obviously she's got your best interests at heart. Don't worry, you just take her without permission. So technically, she was kidnapped, and there's loads of stories that spiraled. There's been police turn up with battering rams, to sort of things. Because these things get blown out of proportion. It starts with, where's Betty gone? Oh, she's not in her room. Oh, what happened? Well, her daughter came in and took... And then, she's been taken. We must phone the police. The next thing, there's a hostage situation. It's like, what's going on?
It all just spirals.
Yeah, and these are the ones that make the news. This is happening all the time. But there's a lot that goes unsaid and undocumented, and that's the daily frustration of loved ones being unable to care and make decisions because they haven't got the authority to do that.
So what do you do? Say, with a will, we now know that if you haven't written a legally binding will, there is a government will that falls into place, which you don't want to happen. with lasting power of attorney, if you haven't got lasting power of attorney for a loved one, how do you look after them? How do you sort out their finances? How do you look after where they're going care home-wise and treatment-wise?
There's a default position and there is only one. Again, there's no grey area. There's no, well, maybe I could do this and maybe I could do that. If you're the one that's incapacitated, you've got to hope that it's someone that you would have chosen for yourself that goes this route, but someone who hopefully does care for you legitimately, isn't just trying to control your money, has to go to something called the Court of Protection and apply for what's called a deputyship order. That is a really, really lengthy process, but it's also really expensive as well. The time that it takes can be the most crippling thing, and the energy that it can take from your loved one as well, because whilst they're wanting to put their time and energy into you, they're having to deal with the court process and court applications and court hearings and assessments and obtaining medical records.
So your loved one's poorly and all you want to do is sit by them, and now you're having to do this.
Yeah. Well, you've got to find that money, haven't you?
You can't take that from your loved one because you can't control their money, so you've got to find this money personally.
Well, if you compare the cost of the exclusive costs for a lasting power of attorney through Shop on TV, even if you don't get the additional shopping voucher, which would take another £10 off it, it's only £179. You look at the minimum fee that it would be to include a hearing and assessment through the court protection, it's already at £1,100. That supervision fee is also an annual fee as well. And that is if you do everything yourself. And when I say you, I mean the person that cares for you and wants to actually become your deputy.
So no professional advice there, that's you doing the whole process.
It's quite a form, isn't it? It's quite a task.
You're dealing with the court process, so unless you're familiar with it, you know, quite often people will turn around. We have a court of protection department, you know, we help people do it, and we know what we charge, and we're incredibly inexpensive. I've heard people, you know, it's run into £4,000 or £5,000 they've had to find of their own money just to get the application, and then sadly, the person they're trying to look after has passed away in that period as well. So I want to be really clear, lasting power of attorney doesn't make the illness or the situation any better. What it definitely does by being in place, it doesn't make it worse. Because the person that's now incapacitated has got a document that says, I want Hayley and I want Sean to be my attorneys, and you, for all intents and purposes, can step into their shoes and make the decisions with all the institutions and all the medical professionals and all the care system as if you were that person. That's why it's called lasting power of attorney. It's that powerful. Without it, unfortunately, the only route to go is the court of protection, and that is long and expensive, and just adds to an already difficult time. So these are we call them a what-if document, don't we? They're not an insurance policy. I want to be clear about that. They're not insurance. But think about your own situation. How many things do you actually insure against, you know, something going wrong? Boilers, pet insurance, cars, a house, phones, tangible things, you know, something that we can touch and feel. We forget about ourselves quite often. So this is an investment, if you like, in Murphy's Law. I keep my fingers crossed. My wife and I have had lasting powers of attorney for 2 decades. It's like, let's hope we never need to use them. I'd rather than be there for the rest of our lives, we never need to use them. But we've got that peace of mind that if life throws one of us a curveball or both of us a curveball, we know that the lasting powers of attorney are there and our attorneys are ready to step in our shoes. And that's seamless for all intents and purposes.
When we did Mums, and we went for the financial side of things, but then when we heard about the health and wellbeing, we did both. It was such a weight off your shoulders, and we've forgotten about it now. We've registered it, it's all there. If we ever, touch wood, we'll never ever need it, but it's all there, and you've just got that complete peace of mind that if, you know, you're in that situation where a loved one's really poorly, that you can actually help sort things out. You can sit by them and care for them because you're not trying to sort out being able to pay the bills or decide where they're, you know, the treatment they're going to have, etc. It's so important.
So important. And Hayley just mentioned registering. That's the next step once you've done the lasting power of attorney. But it's up to you when you do that, isn't it?
The really important thing is to get it drafted. You tell us. Obviously, we give you advice because there are certain things, there are preferences and instructions you can include, and you can specify how you want your attorneys to work together if you're using more than one. So we, again, without being patronising, we hold your hand through all that process. And the really important thing after that is making sure that it gets signed, dated and witnessed correctly, because there is a certain order to sign it, and we help you through all of that. We have signing guides and videos, we have a customer service phone call, so we make sure all of
and
that's
that's brilliant, because there was an issue when Hayley was doing it with her mum. With the signing, because it is
so important.
It's what you call a wet signature still, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Even in this digital age, wet signatures are still required on both wills and lasting power of attorney. And I think your mum's certificate provider was always known as
it was my mum's neighbour. She'd lived next door to mum forever. She was a child that had grown up and a real dear friend to mum's and the family's, and we'd always known her as a certain name, but didn't realise that was actually her middle name, because we never called her by her first name. So what she did is she signed and sort of printed it completely wrong, and they were like, you noticed that it wasn't right. So we wouldn't have known that. So that could have completely messed up what we were trying to do if a professional hadn't seen it.
And that's another heartbreaking thing, because you can do lasting powers of attorney yourself in the same way that you can do wills yourself, but there's no one there to give you advice. There's no one there to hold your hand through the signing process. And we take full responsibility for everything that we do. Touch wood, we've never had a will fail. But like I said, with a will, we know there's inevitability. With lasting power of attorney, we hope you never need to use it. But the important thing is, will it work when it's needed? So we'll validate.
Yes,
so when we see a mistake or we think there's an error, we can pick up on that and we can fix it. Because sadly, had your mum lost capacity and then you go, I've got a lasting power of attorney, you try and register it, and the Office of the Public Guardian go, no, that's a spoilt document.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, then it's too late to fix it because your mum's already lost capacity, and sadly that happens a lot. So the important thing is to make sure it's signed, dated and witnessed correctly, and then it's your choice as to when you register it with the Office of the Public Guardian. And again, we'll talk through all the options that you've got there. There is a secondary fee. The most that it will be is £92. That's what the Office of Public Guardian charge. It can be half of that depending on your personal circumstances. In some cases, it's free. And depending on your own choice of attorneys, it's again a personal choice. Like you decided, Hayley, to register it straight away for your mum, so now you just forget about it, you know it's there, and for want of a better description, good to go. With some people, they'll just say, well, actually, I'll just get it validated so I know it will work if I need it, but I won't register it yet because I might want to make some change in the future or things like that. Because they might have a teenage son, or they're thinking, well, I might want them to be an attorney in a few years, so let's make sure we're covered for now, but give ourselves the scope to change it, the flexibility to change it. It's personal preference, but we'll talk you through all of that as well. But again, even if you have to pay the £92 registration fee, compared to the cost of the court.
And we met someone just recently that said, oh, we should have told us about Simpler Law before. We've just spent like £3,000
we were not popular
on a lasting power of attorney. They're like, how, really? Because take a look at the prices. Prices are absolutely incredible tonight, this morning, however you want to look at it. But remember, these are special deals that are only available up until close of business on Friday. So you have got, we're going to go back to wills. I thought will would be so expensive. I thought it'd be all so complicated. Simpler Law make it so easy. They know what it's all about. They've got the questions, you've got the answers. It's a sit-down conversation. But actually at full price at £249.
Brilliant price.
I would happily pay that time and time again. But our normal deal with Shop on TV when you go via us is £99, but you have got that extra 10% off until close of business on Friday. So actually your price is £89 to make sure what you've worked so hard for does go to the people you want it to go to. And of course you can split that cost over those 4 payments, £22.25. That is nothing. I bet you easily spend that on coffee, perhaps in a couple of days, or chocolate or biscuits or snacks. It's only probably about 4 of those meal deals.
A couple of those lunches,
and it's gone. So that it's so affordable. And there is, if you haven't got a will, you have. It's the government will, and we'll tell you why you do not want that to fall in place. Lasting power of attorney we just spoke about.
Yeah, even at the full price of £349 for something so important, a document that does so much. But that's not the price we've got it for right now. On today's show, well, it should have been £199 on the special offer, but an extra 10% discount brings it down to £179. And then with those 4 interest-free payments, £44.75 on your first of 4 payments that you see there. Again, when you equate what you spend £44.75 on, have you been out for lunch? A couple of you been out for lunch? easily £44.75.
We went out. Where did we go the week? And like a glass of wine was like, was it £14 or something ridiculous?
It was
oh
awful.
My word! So you spend that in an instant, and that is your lasting power of attorney that is so important. 4 payments and it's done, and you've got that complete peace of mind. It's sorted. Now you might have already been in touch, and you said you wanted the will. We've actually got a deal on the will and lasting power of attorney. So now you've heard about lasting power of attorney, you might think, oh gosh, why didn't I say I wanted both of them? As long as you've secured the prices tonight, you've secured every price. So if you do change your mind and you want to do lasting power of attorney and the will, you can get this deal, but you do need to secure those deals. I would do it right now, because it should be, this is the biggest saving, should be virtually £600. Our normal price is £269. You've got the extra 10% off if you secure the deals before the close of business on Friday. So actually, from £600 to £242 for the will and lasting power of attorney. And when you look at the payments, the 4 payments, it's actually only £15 more than your lasting power of attorney, and you've got the will and lasting power of attorney. So that is a great option to go for. But say, as long as you've secured those prices before close of business on Friday, you have got all of those prices available for you. But you've got some extras as well.
Yeah, and first time we've done this, the first bonus for Christmas is a £10 Love to Shop shopping voucher. Now, that you will get that with all consultations that are completed before Christmas time. You can check the terms and conditions on the website. That's a real Christmas special.
So to me, that's another £10 off what you're paying for. So for the will, £87 goes down to £77. That's how I look at it.
79.
Oh, 79.
89.79.
That wasn't very
making
good,
up
was
your
it?
own numbers
I am
now.
making
Close
my
enough.
own numbers.
Close
I'm
enough.
like,
Very
yeah.
close.
There you go, £89, take £10 off, 79. It is very late, isn't it? But it's not too late to get the deals, and also hopefully not too late to get this book, because the first 250 people that secure their deals, and you've got this book secured waiting for you, and this book I think is vital.
This is about putting everything in one place, like your life policies, your assets, your bank accounts, house and home, utilities, but then also about things that you might not think about, computers and tablets, passwords, your phone password.
So much is digital now, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of things are digital only now. They're not paper copies anymore. And how did this come about, Ian? Because this is a really good story. How it
was born out of our estate administration department. Obviously, we do wills and lasting powers of attorney. That's the heart of what we do. But we offer a full range of estate planning, private client legal services, effectively. And probate and estate administration is one of them. And when you spoke to the team, the first job of an executor, if you like, is to gather in the assets of a person's estate. We've got certain tools at our disposal as professionals that we can find that, and it was mind-blowing that some children were sort of going, oh, we didn't know Dad had that, or we didn't know we had this. And that led us to think, well, how many people who aren't employing professional services are missing out on various things? And then it transpired, doing a bit more research, that it's believed there's £5 billion of unclaimed pension pots out there. Billion. 5 billion.
Wow.
That's a lot.
But I think,
That's
this wouldn't have been applicable to my dad because he was claiming his pensions, and I'd like to think he was claiming everything that he could have had. But if I had to think back to how many jobs my dad had...
You wouldn't know.
Because I know he was a steel worker when I was a kid, but I know he was at different steel works. And then I know he worked at the council, but I know he had a couple of... And I'm thinking, well, would I know where all of those pensions were? You know, because some get frozen and they stay. So it's not unthinkable that there's £5 billion out there that has never gone to a loved one. £2 billion of unclaimed life insurance policies, so a life policy's never been found or claimed. And it's believed there's £850 million just in UK bank accounts that, again...
That people don't find.
That just aren't found. And, you know, I could be a little bit of a sceptic and suggest that, you know, these institutions aren't really looking to give it back.
I think you might be right, yeah.
I don't know. I could be wrong. But unless you go and get it, that's stuck there. So that was where this was born from, if you like. But then, obviously, other things like you've had your own personal experience of if a PIN isn't known, a digital device. And I resisted. You know, I'm getting on a bit now, and I resisted for a while, you know, my life being on a phone. I was very much, no, a phone's for making and receiving phone calls, and then one app goes on, then another app. And then your own bank sort of says, well, no, you should have this, and we need facial recognition and all that.
Now you can't really live without you.
It's strange, isn't it? And all of a sudden, I thought I'd lost it recently, and the panic, the dread, you suddenly realise, oh, my whole life's on that thing. So, you know, without access to that for your family and your loved ones as well, but even the personal things, photographs, videos, you know, the albums that I remember my parents having were the ones with all the, you know, tissue paper in between, and sometimes the pictures have gone a little bit yellowy, you know, and Whitby 1976 wrote on the bottom of it and stuff like that. You know, that doesn't exist as much today, if at all. It's all on our tablet or on our phone, and if we lose access to that, and again, someone might be listening to me now going, oh, that doesn't happen, but ask yourself if you know the access to your loved one's digital devices. I know my wife and I know access to it, each of ours, but if both of us passed away yesterday, I don't think our boys do.
No.
So that's why it has to be documented, or should be documented, so that you can leave it as a legacy for your loved ones.
And it's all in that one place, remember. First 250 people to secure the deals will get that book if it's still available. So get it right now. If you are watching on our +1 channels, you can still get in touch. We'll explain, actually, all the different ways that you can get in touch, whether it's on the website, whether you want a phone, or whether you want a text, because it's really simple and straightforward.
You might be like us, when perhaps you've had a day at work, perhaps you've just come in from work and all you've been doing is talking to people all the time. You don't want to talk to anyone. Jump onto the website. It's simplylaw.co.uk/shop on TV. Fill in your details. You don't need to know any answers to any questions. You don't need any information, actually, apart from your name, how to get in contact, and the fact that you want to do a will or a lasting power of attorney. So that's a real simple way to do it. The phone lines are live and the team are there until 3 a.m. And the team, perhaps you've got a couple of questions, that they'll answer those questions. But again, no information needed, just that you want to make sure you secure those prices. And the phone number is 0333 600 2600. But the easiest and always the busiest way is texting.
Yeah, and if you are watching on the +1 channels, either text or use the website. Text the word WILL, WILL, to 66777. And you've done it. You've taken that first step.
Yeah.
You've got the ball rolling.
That's what we're rubbish at, but we are quite good at texting. So honestly, I do every competition that is a text, and I will be winning on Friday, 745.
We won't see her after Friday.
Neither
will I, probably.
£100,000. I never win, but I still try. You've won. If you text Will right now, you've won all these prices. You've actually secured the deals. You've secured that book if you're the first of the 250. And if you get the consultation done before Christmas, you've actually got a £10 voucher coming your way as well. Now, if you're thinking, well, if you think, you know, perhaps we finish at 3 and think, what did they say? You can go via our website as well. I always say take a photo of that picture and you've got all the details, and then just do it now, because you'll forget and it'll be next week before you know it. The deals are only until close of business on Friday. But you go via our website, stay on that first page, shopontv.co.uk, scroll down, there we are, Simply Law, our on-screen partners, click onto that, and it gives you, again, a rundown of what you've got the opportunity to get today, and all the details of contact, actually, and a really easy form. If my school tests were like this, I could have been really clever.
You'd be Prime Minister.
Absolutely.
Slightly better than your maths, I think, from earlier on.
Maths isn't so good. Maths I was quite good at, actually, but not tonight.
Just fill in that form. It's that simple, that straightforward. Make sure you click submit there at the bottom, and all those prices, all those deals will be honoured. And again, you've taken that first step.
And don't put it off, because we're so good at thinking we'll do it tomorrow, and then you never get there. You go off to work, the day goes. All of a sudden it'll be Sunday and you think, oh, well, just look, and the prices have gone back up. Do it right now so you know. All you're doing is securing the deals. The team will get back in touch. And perhaps you're going away for 3 weeks. That's fine. They'll get back in touch. When's a good time to sit down and chat? And you can say, well, actually, the end of January. And they'll say, that's fine. OK, you've secured the prices. We'll hold them until we can talk to you. But don't forget, if you do it before Christmas, you get an extra £10 voucher.
Another bonus. I love to shop voucher.
And that's a real special for this show.
We are going to go back to wills. If you've just tuned in, maybe you're just getting up and going to work, maybe you've just come in from work. We're going to talk about wills and why everybody needs them. We're working directly with experts in the field. Simpler Law bring us these fabulous shows with fabulous exclusive deals.
And explain why it's so important.
For everyone to have a will.
Because you might think, oh, I've told everybody what I want to happen, so that's fine. No, if you haven't written a legally binding will. Perhaps you're like us, we've been together 34 years. Everybody knows what's mine is Sean's, what's Sean is mine. But, you know, we hadn't written a will. Had one of us passed, we aren't entitled to either. But even if you're married, it's really complicated, because though you might think you haven't got a will, you have. And Ian, that's the government will. For anyone that's just turned on, it is so important we write a legally binding will, because it's out of our hands if we don't.
Yeah, this is potentially your last gift to your family and to your loved ones, because it's your last act on planet Earth, essentially, is the reading of your will. And if it's your will, it'll be bespoke to you, it'll be unique to your family, and it'll be relevant to your estate because it's yours. If you don't have a valid will in place when you pass away, then the government stands ready to give you one. There is a default position for every single adult in the UK, and it's called the Rules of Intestacy. This is a set of rules that was initially put into law in 1925.
100 years ago.
It's 100 years old this year. Obviously, societies...
And we're still using it now.
Yeah, there's been a few amendments. Societies are a tiny bit different now to then. So, you know, being a little bit facetious, 100 years ago you were married, you had 2.4 children and you didn't get divorced. It's not unusual for us today. In fact, about half of our clients are typically on a second relationship or aren't married.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not unusual at all. But the rules of intestacy, even though the government have looked at it and tried to change it, it's too complex because of how complex modern families are. So they've just left it.
And
So
there has to be something, you always say, don't you? There has to be something.
Yeah, because you think, oh, that's so wrong, but what would, if you didn't have this, then it'd be said, well, Dad said me, it's all mine. The daughter, because Dad said it was all mine.
there has to be a default position.
Yeah.
And in the UK, we have testamentary freedom in the UK, which means we can make our own will. And that's what we do these shows for, is say, listen, you really need to make your own will, because the government will is nothing more than a default. It's a backstop to make sure that someone can administer your estate, but it's only going to follow a certain set of rules that are established by asking yes or no questions that all start with one about your marital status. That's all the rules of intestacy are interested in to start with, is whether you're married or not. So the first question that's asked of the deceased is, were they married or in a civil partnership? And it's yes or no. There isn't a, well, we've been together for 34 years or we've lived together for 2 years, because we still hear things like, oh, I'm common law husband and wife. That's not a legal position, unfortunately.
We thought that, yeah.
It literally is the position of you're either married or in a civil partnership or you're not. So hence the yes or no. And that then opens up a series of other questions, and it's usually around children, parents, and it's all about your bloodline, which then can make it complicated for blended families, because the children in a blended family, by definition, aren't all in the same bloodline.
Oh, so even though you see yourself as one big family and no one could, it's not a stepbrother and sister, they've lived together since they were all toddlers, you got children from different relationships. What happens then in that situation?
So if you've got a family, and let's say that the couple are on their the number of marriages is irrelevant. Let's say they're on the second marriage, and they've both got children from previous relationships, so obviously different bloodlines. On first death, let's assume that under the rules of intestacy, so the estate's less than £322,000, then on first death, everything's left to the surviving spouse. And that's normally what couples would want, everything to go to each other. But then they may know, and the wider family may know, and the kids may have even been told, and don't worry, everything's going to go to you equally. But actually, when the second person dies, so in this case, if Mr. dies first, leaves everything to Mrs., when Mrs. dies, the rules of intestacy will send it to her children and her children only, her bloodline. So essentially what we're saying is, in a blended family, the first parent that dies, unwittingly and unintentionally, has disinherited their children.
Oh my goodness.
And that's why a bereavement can be made so much worse. And sometimes when people hear this, they go, oh yeah, but that won't happen to us, or I'm sure everything will be okay. Or even if that did happen, I'm sure the sisters would look after each other, or the brothers would look after each other.
That's way too much pressure,
a lot of pressure.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not always your children as well that are bearing that pressure. It could be your son or your daughter's partner or husband or wife who's
other influences,
who's also got some skin in the game at that point, going, well, you just received a £250,000 house. Why would you want to share that?
Yeah.
And you know, and people go, yeah, but that wouldn't happen. But when you pass away, your influence passes away with you.
Everything's heightened.
Grief, the dealing with the bereavement is in the mix, and then money's in the mix.
That
and I don't want
cause a lot of family breakups.
Yeah. Definitely.
I certainly don't want to cast aspersions that the entire human race are horrible, but we live in the real world. And this is a problem, it's a risk that, okay, your children might sort it out between themselves, but then there might be tax implications for them because of that. And the reason we say do a will is you can remove all that risk, because it is a risk. You're hoping that someone does something that they're not legally obliged to do. So it's not enough to say to your loved ones that, look, when I pass away, you know that I want this to happen, I want that to happen, I want this to happen. Because the only way that your wishes are going to be carried out is if you make your own will. If you don't make your own will, you will have passed away intestate, which means you do get the government will, and there's a legal process that follows that. So that's why we do these shows, because I don't think there's enough information out there to say, if you pass away without your own will, you're going to get this default will.
We had no idea.
No, why would you?
No idea. I think, yeah.
Don't have an
You
idea.
wouldn't. You just think, well, no.
That's what happens.
Yeah. And that
What's
is
the best sort of glue for a filling and for a crown? Do you know?
Ask a dentist.
And I'm not. Look, and I didn't mean to. But we only know what we know. I mean, I get picked on at work when I say I only know about this, like you don't know anything. But you ask me any question outside of estate planning, this is all I've known for a quarter of a century, so I like to think I like to know most of it.
Yeah.
But you ask me anything outside of this and I don't know it. So why are the wider public expected to know that there's a set of rules out there that's 100 years old that's their default will? So seriously, that's why we do these shows. We want to get to as many people as we possibly can and say, you need to really think about your estate planning, because what you think is going to happen, or even, dare I say, if you're sat there now thinking, oh, I'm sure everything will be okay, just ask yourself one question. Who's giving you that power? Why do you think that? Because when the rules of intestate actually come into play, they don't care about you. They don't care about any of us sat here. They are a default position just to make sure that the estate gets administered. Oh, and by the way, to maximise, one of the biggest beneficiaries of your estate when you die intestate could be the taxman. Anyway, I'll leave that thought with you.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
If the phone isn't ringing off the hook now, I've done something wrong.
Leave that there. Yeah.
But you just don't know, do you? You truly don't know that if you haven't written a legally binding will, that there is a will out there for you. You have got a will if you haven't written one. It's the government will, and you don't want the government to take control of what you've worked so hard for and to say what's going to happen to it. That's your choice, and to write a will, and it's so affordable to do that. You've got an opportunity, not just the financial side of things, it's also when your children inherit. You perhaps wouldn't want your children at 18 to get everything. You'd like to split that, perhaps when they're 18, 20 and 25.
All those different things you can do with your will.
What would happen
not just about the money.
If awfully both parents died? You can choose the guardian to your children. You don't want all the grandparents and sisters and brothers fighting over, and you know who you want to look after your children if that awful thing happens. Might be your pets. And don't think that you haven't got anything, because when you sit down and think what is important to you, you know who you would want to have those things, and you've got an opportunity to make sure that happens. Because if you don't write a legally binding will, it honestly won't. However many people you've told, it's not going to happen because the government step in.
It's got to be written down. Now, it's not only wills we're talking about on the show, we've also got lasting power of attorney. We're going to recap that quickly and then we'll finish off with wills on the show. It is working directly with people who are experts in the field. Now, if you've heard of the term lasting power of attorney, but you're not quite sure what it is, Emma, this is about if you've lost capacity, isn't it? Explain what a lasting power of attorney is, if you would.
So, a lasting power of attorney is a document that you would put in place when you've got capacity.
Okay.
So you on the document itself, you're called a donor because you're donating your powers to the people that you trust, and it can be more than one person. So to be your attorney, to basically, if you do unfortunately lose capacity, then they're going to step into your shoes and they'll make those decisions for you.
Sorry, when we say lose capacity, in what form are we talking about?
So you could be in an awful accident, you could become ill, maybe have dementia, anything like that. So you can't make decisions yourself, basically, for yourself. So then you're trusting these people to make those decisions for you.
So though you'd think if it was a loved one, it was your partner, it was your wife, it was your husband, it was your parent, you'd think, well, I will be able to do that because obviously everyone knows I've got their best interest at heart. Again, legally, you've got no chance, have you?
No, doesn't matter if you're married, doesn't matter if it's your mother and your father and they're your family members. you don't have that.
You have to have
power.
that in place.
Yeah, you
well,
have
like you
to have this
often say,
document
you
in
can't
place.
go into your husband's or wife's bank right now and take money out. You know, you can't. I can't ring up and for mum even to ask about something about a phone bill. They want to speak.
Well, the
to
question
mum.
they ask, they always say, "Are you the account holder?" If you
Correct.
say
That's
no,
correct, yeah.
it stops there, doesn't it?
That's it, yeah. Unless there's a code or a password on the
Right,
account.
okay.
But a lot of the time, you know I don't half my husband's stuff. Definitely not.
No.
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it? All the GDPR that we have to go through these days.
And we don't say this to try and be clever. We say this to get the point across because again, there'll be lots and lots of people out there who incorrectly assume that everything will just be okay, and they only find out that it's not okay when it's then too late to do anything about it. So when we say things like, well, just take a breath and think about it logically, again, we're not trying to be condescending, but can you today go into your partner's bank and access their money? And, you know, be honest, what's the answer? And the answer is no. So if your partner's now incapacitated and now even more protected as a vulnerable person, why would you think the bank would then lift that restriction and go, oh, we wouldn't give it to you yesterday when he was fine, but now we know that he can't act for himself. Of course we'll let... And again, I don't mean to come across facetious, but this is... I want people to realise that because that's why this document's so important.
And the thing that blew my mind, because, you know, that you do think, oh, God, yeah, that makes sense. But I was like, well, if you've got a joint account, that'll be absolutely fine, won't it? Obviously, we've got a joint account, one of us is poorly, that's fine, but that's not fine either, is it?
No, it's implied that jointly held assets, that both of you've got capacity because you've jointly agreed, jointly and severally to own this asset, if you like. Even the British Banking Association state that if one joint owner is incapacitated, that account should be frozen. Now, you imagine if your everyday money's going in there as well. Sometimes it's not just about accessing each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes people run everything jointly. But even jointly held property can then be sort of locked down as well, and you might need access to that. You might want to move house. You might even want to sell the property, for example. But you're hamstrung, and therefore, when you're in that position, your only way of getting out of it is to apply for what's called a deputyship order through something called a court of protection, and then you're into serious pain with time and money. Much, much more expensive than £179 to draft a lasting power of attorney tonight.
And there are two different types, just to reiterate for you at home. We'll show you those two different types, and then we must get back to wills before the end of the show. So property and affairs is the financial one, Emma, we were talking about, isn't it?
It is indeed. So again, with this one, you can still claim your pensions, benefits, again, open and close any sort of accounts, deal with any property issues there, your utility bills. You know, on what you're seeing on the screen is just a snippet,
just a taste,
realistically, of what you can do.
But life carries on, doesn't it? So it's all things that need to be done, and how are you going to do it if you haven't given...
And you wouldn't be able to without this document.
I moved house this year and we did the Royal Mail redirect thing.
Ah, yes.
And I thought I'd covered every institution that we deal with, you know, because...
Yeah.
And then after a few months, stuff was still coming through. I forgot this, I forgot... We forget just how many people we're in touch with and how many institutions we deal with every single day, and we take for granted that we can.
Yeah.
And these documents you only really, or more to the point, your loved ones only really understand the true value of them if, God forbid, you are incapacitated, because then they're like, oh, I can deal with all of this.
Yeah. So we've looked at the financial one. On the screen now, we've got health and welfare, because there's two different types, as we say. This is just as important, if not more so, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, definitely. Because your loved one, obviously, you want them to still have their same personality. So, again, it could be daily routines, who can see them, who can't see them, medication, what they're going to get, where they're going to live even. So, yeah, really, really important.
Things that you don't want taken out of your hands. If you've got a loved one that's poorly, you don't want to go in and they normally have their hair done and the nails done, and all of a sudden their hair isn't done, the nails are tatty.
I've got a dear...
Yeah, it's devastating.
It can speak to end of life as well, because that's in the press at the moment, because obviously the assisted dying bill, etc. But you can even pass on your preferences and your instructions to your attorneys over that, which might sound horrible, but again, it's actually quite a selfless thing. And if family know that, no, mum would not want that, or dad would not want that, you can say... I was of the opinion, because my personal opinion is if I've deemed that there's nothing going on there, please turn off the lights, thanks very much, and let's see what's next. But I was quite surprised. There's a lot of people out there. No, bring out the cattle prods.
Yeah.
Bring out the experimental thing, because again, it's personal choice. But if you don't donate your power, who's going to fight that corner for you?
Taken away from you.
Yeah. So it's really. No one understands the importance of these documents until they're needed.
Yeah.
It's really easy to sort of be dismissive of the things that it can do, because we just take for granted that we can make all these basic decisions for ourselves. The second that's taken away from us because we've lost capacity, if you haven't haven't donated your power to someone, then it's out of your hands and it's out of your family's hands. So it's a double whammy. So again, it's a really selfless document. As selfless as making a will, but actually a lasting power of attorney, you're clearly going to get something out of it, because you know that your wishes are going to be carried out by someone that you trust.
It's there if you need it.
And do it today.
If you need,
Hopefully not.
Yes, the what if.
Yeah.
What if? If you had that crystal ball, you could see perfect health for the rest of your life. You don't need them. None of us have that crystal ball.
No.
And I'll stress again, these aren't insurance policies. That's why what if ? They aren't insurance policies, but they can be thought of in a similar vein. And we will insure loads of tangible things in our lives, like cars, our contents of a house, pets, our boiler insurance. You know, we'll protect these things that may or may not fail, and quite often we forget to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So this is probably one of the weirdest Christmas gifts you could buy for your family, but could also turn out to be one of the most valuable things you ever did.
Definitely.
Whether it's lasting powers of attorney or whether it's a will, if you've been thinking about writing a will, the prices are fabulous, the offers are great, we've got exclusive deals, but we're going to finish the show with the will itself.
Yeah.
If you want to write a will and you haven't taken that first step, now is the time, isn't it?
So important to write a will and the lasting power of attorney. The deals are incredible. I would just say take a photo of this page right away so you can see the opportunity you've got tonight. You do need to secure the deal by Friday at the close of business, so do it right now, otherwise you'll forget. It'll be Sunday, it'll be Christmas before you know it, and then you think, I didn't do it again. And one day it will just be too late. Everything's so affordable. Even at full price, I thought a will would be so expensive. £249. Yes, making sure what you've worked so hard for goes to the loved ones that you want it to go to, that the government will doesn't fall in place because you didn't get round to writing one. Our price, though, normally is £99, but you have got that extra 10% off if you secure the deal before Friday at close of business. £89 can then be split over 4 payments. So 4 payments are £22.25, and I know you'll probably spend that more on coffee, or you'll spend more on chocolate or snacks, or, you know, a few bits out of the supermarket. You've got your will done for £89 and splitting that cost as well. Lasting power of attorney we just spoke about, and that can be, someone just told us the other day they'd spent, it was about £3,000 it cost them. So again, normal price, fantastic at £349, but again, you do always get a special offer with us, but our special offer is even better.
Yeah, so you've got our deal offer at $199, but it comes down to $179 with the extra 10% off. And then you've got your 4 interest-free payments, so $44.75 on your first of 4 payments. That's if you want to go for lasting power of attorney, but the biggest saving of all is if you go for the combination, the will and lasting power of attorney. Should be almost £600, comes down to $269 on the offer, but then another 10% off, so £242. And if you want to use those 4 interest-free payments, just £60.50 on the first of 4 payments there. If you do go for one of the offers and then change your mind, the great thing is Simpler Law will honour the prices if you want to add more in.
As long as you secure those prices, and we'll explain how you can do that, you can get any of those deals. You said you want to secure a deal, you can choose which one then you want. And remember, if you do actually make sure you sort it out with your consultation is completed before Christmas, you've got an extra today. You've got a £10 voucher coming your way, and a shopping voucher that you can use in so many different places. In my head, though, I'm like, oh, that's £10 off my will say, so it's £89. Now it's £79 because you're giving me £10 back. So that is an extra that we don't normally have, so a real special for this show. And of course the book, we do have the book always, but it is the first 250 people that do get the book.
Yeah, and that is what your family should know. Basically, it's one place where you can record everything from bank accounts to pensions to passwords for your computers to utility bills. Rather than searching around the whole house, everything's things in that
It's the
one
information
place.
your family will be hunting for, and it's that, it's that peace of mind. What you're doing today is possibly that last gift to that loved one. This could be your Christmas present to the loved one, that you've written a will, so what you want to happen happens. Because it's no good telling people the government will fall in place if you haven't written your own will, and it won't be what you want at all. Lasting power of attorney, as soon as you're too poorly to say what you want, who you want to look after, it's not going to happen. So this is an opportunity to put all those things in place, that peace of mind, and just making sure that your family, though they're going through a complete trauma because you're poorly or they've lost you, doesn't make it easier, but it doesn't make it worse because you've actually put things in place, which I think is the best gift you could give.
It's really simple and easy and straightforward to get in touch. There are several different ways for you. If you want to go directly to Simpler Law's website, simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. The team is still in the call centre through till 3 a.m. If you're watching on +1, go to the website or text the word will to 66777. That's the easiest way to get in
just
touch.
do that before you go to bed or before you go out to work. It's done. Texting will to 66777. You know you've got all those deals secured. Do it right now. Or if you'd rather go via our website, you can, shopontv.co.uk. All you need to do is stay on the first page, scroll down to the middle. There's Simpler Law, on-screen partners. Click onto that. Gives you all the information you need, actually. The phone number, it gives you the text. But if you scroll down, a really easy form to fill in. Do it right now. We're rubbish at that first step, aren't we? We're rubbish at, getting things organised. We need a stair carpet. We've needed it for, I wouldn't like to say how many years now. We only let the Sainsbury's man see it because we have to, because he delivers to the front door.
Mortified.
It's horrendous. And the only reason, it's not that we can't afford it, we just haven't got round to ringing someone or going to look for a carpet.
It's so important, Ian, isn't it? It's just taking that first step. And then you're good to go.
The value of a will can't be known until the point of need. What we do know for a fact is it removes all the ambiguity, it removes all the what-ifs, and obviously it completely mitigates the risk of something going wrong because it's your will. But it's important to get it done professionally, it's important to get it done right, but the only way we can do that, unfortunately, is not by telepathy, is by you sending that text, by picking up the phone. The guys are there for the next few minutes. But please do something amazing for yourself and for your family. The hardest thing generally is texting the word will to 66777 and saying, I want Simple Law to give me a call on this, but you won't regret that you did. And dying intestate, honestly, is the last thing that you want. Don't die with the government will. They have enough control over our lives when we're alive. Please don't let your last act about what you worked hard for be dictated to by a government set of rules that's over 100 years old. Do something amazing for yourself and for your family. Just send that text tonight, because you'll go to bed tonight and wake up tomorrow and you'll forget about this.
Yeah.
Life will get in the way and you'll do it next year. You'll do it after Christmas. Please send that text tonight. You won't regret that you did it.
It's your wishes.
One day
your
it'll be
final
too
wish.
late, It's your final gift to your loved one. So please do it right now, and you know that job is done. We've got to say a massive thank you to our gorgeous guests.
Always, Ian and Emma, lovely to see you. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Look at that. What a finish. My word.
I've got a contact in tonight.
Do get in touch and take that first step and see what a difference it can make, writing your own will or your lasting power of attorney. We'll see you very, very soon.
See you later.